Nice that
They're
the
not
computer
miss-
could.
They're not missing us yet.
Let's see, what do we got here? Get a little more illumination on the ugliness. I don't know. Ethyl alcohol was what I was talking about there.
Allie.
Hello, Ali. How are you? Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of an Arizona boy. I sweat just enough to get me all salty usually. It's got to be a little humid.
Yeah, could be.
Could
Chris. He could have got it wrong. Thanks, David.
And
I've been around. I've just been busy and running some more.
Yep.
Hey, Chris.
So we've also got his friend in the peanut gallery there.
Yeah, a friend of mine's here from Minnesota right now. So
watching our amazing technique here.
Checking out Montana.
Oh, let's see. We got 8 people so far.
Montana's the best. Arizona sucks rocks.
You heard it.
Yeah. So actually this weekend, the weather was sulfuric acid.
Yeah.
Was actually pretty good except for the rain. It was actually raining where we were at Saturday morning. It was raining before dawn, and it rained till after 10 in the morning.
On Saturday?
Yeah. I presume it's because, it's going over
everything
the
stayed
mountains.
south of here. I know that.
Yeah,
we didn't get it.
Going up over the mountains and condensing, and we were just right in the right spot. It was just drizzle, 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 rain, drizzle, rain. And unfortunately, we had ore to haul. I mean, we done pretty good the day before.
Yeah.
And we had like over 20 buckets of ore sitting there ready to send down the hill. But because it was looking kind of drippy, we just tarped them up there.
Yeah.
And we didn't have time to send them down because we have one tarp. So they got to all be in one place. And it's like, okay, we can send 12 down the hill and then haul them to the trailer and then come back and send 12 more down the hill and then haul them to the trailer.
Get them covered up again.
And it just wasn't going to work. Alas, Prioric, he is no more, for he thought H2O was H2SO4. But anyhow, so that slowed us down a little bit, and yet we still got a full trailer of buckets. So that's good. The Sierra Blaster took out a tough spot there. Even the Bosch was bouncing off of it. And the picture you saw as the thumbnail is the vein at the bottom of the ladder track now. As you can see, it's opened up from 4 inches to about 14 inches. Very soft, highly mineralized. It's all hematite, limonite, goethite, and some silica in there, some kryptonite also. Although don't try and look that up in the books. It won't.
The chemistry.
Yeah, it won't exactly do it. But yeah, at the other end, by the decline, I was knocking out some big chunks of porous red kryptonite. It's like, ooh, that looks good. Well, yeah.
Hopefully it gets better.
And we got that sample of the back.
Yeah, we also took a sample of the back this trip. The vein is obviously still heavily mineralized and wide in the back. For whatever reason, they didn't take it all. And so we don't know why. But as we're going down, we're sampling it so that we'll be able to plot it later. Yeah, it is ours. It's basically silica. It's quartz. It's a hard polycrystalline quartz, but and I call red kryptonite that, which is it's heavily iron stained, hematite red staining and stuff. But this stuff also had a lot of bugs and porosity to it, even though it was hard. I mean, The Bosch was taken out in big chunks. But I'm looking at that going, that looks pretty juicy to me. We'll see what happens when we get assays back. And we're still waiting on solution assays because the local lab guy,
Yeah.
well, apparently his kids are in 4-H. Yeah, they're from Townsend.
Okay.
And his wife is some official at the fair in Townsend. So he had to help at the fair this
That's how it
weekend.
goes. Welcome to Montana.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little more important than the analysis.
Well, yeah, the kids are important.
Is it all polycrystalline? Pretty much, although this stuff seemed to be larger crystals, and again, it's kind of porous. I'll try and get a chunk of it when I'm out there crushing tomorrow, and so I can show you guys next week. But it's pretty stuff, and it's the vein itself is extremely. Is it heterogeneous or heterogeneous? Now that's a good question because
Heterogeneous.
Uh-oh.
heterogeneous.
Really?
My little one, where's my glasses here? That's how it's spelled. Heterogeneous, yep. Diverse in character or content. Okay. So I've heard both heterogeneous or heterogeneous and homogeneous and homogeneous. But anyhow, heterogeneous is the correct term. And yeah, Rock's got it. So the vein changes inch by inch in places. I mean, you'll be sitting there. I mean, it's just sinking almost like it was dirt. And then
Harder.
all of a sudden, there's a little hard, the bit's going one way and then the bit's going another way. And you got this little vein like this.
That's just solid.
Of silica in the middle of it.
Huh?
And it's changing color. One thing that's kind of interesting in diagnostic is as I'm driving the demo hammer in, it can be hard or soft and still be a lot of iron in it. But when I pull that bit out, it's colored. If it's in that high iron stuff, I've been drilling through some hard stuff that didn't look like much. Pull it out and it's like just chocolate brown practically. And it's like, okay, underneath it's some pretty good stuff. And another thing is the dust color. As when you're in pretty hard stuff, the color of the dust.
The dust color change
can be thing. Yeah. Yeah, probably. You probably are, Tom. You'll find out what that means someday. Okay. But anyhow,
see how many tangents they can get out of this one.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's kind of frustrating not being able to predict anything, but it's also kind of interesting because you never know what's going to happen.
No, but also the more tests you do and the more you see, the better you get at predicting.
Yeah.
But sometimes that takes years.
Yep. Hey, John.
Hey, John.
The other thing, and Chris already brought it up prior, that vein's now wide enough behind where the ladder track is that we may want to chase it horizontally.
I would go down yet and then see what happens.
Yeah,
because you can see it now.
Yeah.
And if anything, come in under it and take it out, you know, from behind the track.
Yeah. Well, the track segments are easy to unpin and take out.
Yeah.
But my thought is to take out a piece of the track section there and just dig into that with a little mini Hilti. Get some. Well, I may have the big Hilti back this week. We'll see what happens.
Good.
They're fixing it, but that's a little over $500.
They had to wait for parts from Singapore or something.
Probably not. So I expect to get a call in the next couple of days.
Well,
if it's fixed.
Recently found it interesting because Joe and I were bidding a job out here out of town, and certain materials for building in that you absolutely cannot get, or you might get them 6 months from now. It's just amazing what is in shortage and what's not available.
Yep.
So you really got to look
Well,
to
right.
everything
Very much
first.
so.
We got to go plan it out, and thank God that's what we're doing, is planning out here what we're doing. And
Yeah.
the fact that there's so many things that normally in the last 40 years you just walk in and say, I want a case of this and a case of that, and they're like, you can't get it. It's impossible to get. And it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and I think that's just going to get worse.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
So if you do have critical stuff, you probably want to get that ahead of time.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out is, what to get ordered right away that may take a month to get versus just getting the job done.
Yeah.
But I have to wonder, these guys building apartment complexes yet or something like that. You kind of see them they move along and then they kind of stop. They stall. Well, there's evidently a real good reason for that.
Oh yeah.
I heard it was more like 300 or so, Dave. But yeah, it's it also depends on what exactly you're looking for.
Yeah, how concentrated you're getting your focus, Dave. But there is a lot of truth to that. Even in placer, the old timers told me, you dig 100 holes, and the 101st hole will finally pay for the first 100 and hopefully pay for the next 100 you dig.
Yeah.
There is a lot of truth in that. You're not going to just walk out. It's not going to be easy. And I found a mine.
Well, it might be, but then you could win the lottery too.
Well, right, it might be. I'm not saying it can't happen. You could be on a spot that nobody found the gold, and you could hit a really good deal.
Now, Rock Butcher is a professional who's been doing this for like 30 years. So
there you go.
I would take his advice, absent something strongly the other way. As I've said many times, the most important thing about prospecting is your feet, because you need to walk away from a bad one quickly so you're not wasting a lot of time, because you're likely to go through a lot of bad ones before you find a good one.
That's practically what we're doing, John, is trying to get a jump on what we're planning.
Yeah. So I say this one here, once we found some good showing, then because there was old workings, it was fairly easy to access those workings and take more samples. We were able to get a good idea where there might be some good, some mineable material, access issues, this and that and the other. A number of things came together, making it relatively easy to work this on a test scale, and then kind of see what's the thing. How many nuggets in the clan? Well, that's obviously not for me. I don't get nuggets.
Well, I think he's asking how the gold, when you're sluicing that up there. I did comment on that video.
Yeah. Now, I'll get to that in just a second, because a couple of people agreed with you on that.
Yeah.
The upper part of the sluice, the upper miner's moss, had about 10 particles in the 150 to 100 mesh range.
Okay.
That was all.
Yeah.
Considering 1,500 pounds went over it, that's not very much. The hog mat had a lot of steel on it from the grinding. Sweet. Hey, Tricky, how's it going?
Hello, Tricky.
Hi, Tricky.
And no gold.
Okay.
So it was catching steel, but it didn't catch any gold that I could find. The next bit of miner's moss below that, didn't find anything. The one below that I haven't panned yet. Okay.
Well, hopefully
And
it wasn't down there.
I also have 3 buckets from that mortar trough I put at the end that I haven't panned yet. And I got a bucket from just the tailings that were building up in a pile there that I
That's a
haven't
good
panned
idea,
yet.
too. Yeah.
And so I can
check and recheck.
pan all these things and see, is there any significant gold there? Because if it's, well, like you deal with $10 or $20 a ton, that ain't going to do me any good at that stage.
No.
If it isn't,
No, but if you start to find some pieces that look impressive that aren't going to melt,
it's got to be at least $50 a ton, easily recoverable by sluicing, for the gravity gold to make any sense for our situation.
right?
Especially as like those 150 to 100 mesh particles will probably dissolve
Sooner or
before
later.
we're done.
Yeah, by the time you
Leaching
clear the leach out. Yeah.
Yeah. The new pregnant pond is lined.
It's
And
interesting that you're getting bigger particles of gold, though, to me.
yeah.
Because that was something you didn't see early on.
Well, I was able to pan some gold out of it,
but
but
not
a
much.
very small
Yeah, right.
fraction.
Yeah.
When I was running my gravity concentrator,
Yeah.
I was getting 15 to 20% of the gold value.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, you know. It's pretty good at getting that fine stuff. But anyhow, so I'm doing that. I have a feeling what may happen. Huh. Okay, Dave.
Cool, Dave.
I have a feeling it's going to come in useful sometime when we hit a rich pocket that's not easily visible. And then all of a sudden we run the sluice and we go, holy crap!
Right. Uh-oh.
And that's like, where did that stuff wind up? Okay, let's
Yeah.
shovel that all and put it off to the side, you know? And so that I think is going to be our, because this is so heterogeneous that I'm sure we're going to hit pockets of coarse gold somewhere sometime.
I have a feeling, being the fact that it's somewhat there, you kind of know that now.
Yeah.
You could have at some point, yes, some really rich ground.
So my thought is to say, well, we'll kind of keep an eye on things. And if we have a sluice set up that catches
It's just a backup.
a good percentage of the gold, so that again, we can see, okay, that batch had a lot of gold in it, you know, coarse gold. Let's, again, it's the sort of thing we know where it's going to settle right there at the end of the sluice. Just dig it all up, set it aside for gravity processing. So
It'll kind of trigger you when you see it. You'll know, oh, pay attention to that ore or that pile.
Yep. The furnace, we lost another heating element. And so we spent a lot of time kind of rearranging the inside of the furnace a little bit, because it was funny. First of all, this particular ceramic fiber board likes to split in the middle. You got the two sides that are really tough. There's a weak zone right in the middle where it just likes to literally break in half, like two slices of bread separating. Well, this is really tough to like put a staple in,
right?
You know, because it just splits it. So you can't put a lot of staples to hold in your element. And if it's sitting in a little groove, you got to put it in and then staple it. So what we did was I made shelves with a fair space above it and put some staples really sticking out, and used Satanite to kind of glue it all together and coat it, stuff like that. And last I was out there, it had hardened up and everything, but we're going to have to make a new heating element, a few minor design changes to try and, like around that thermocouple.
Yeah.
Instead of having a coil going around the top, I'll just stretch it to a single strand. And that way, it's not going to have that heat
It'll pass
in that spot.
It'll pass by it. Yeah.
And so there's a few minor changes there we're going to give a shot and see what happens.
I'm just in favor of blowing it up personally. That's the
And
Sierra Blaster on it.
I would dissolve given it. Well, Rock, because it's going out on the pad afterwards,
And still getting leach.
it's not a big issue. But we also took a sample, a solution sample of the last batch we dumped, and then as it was coming out from underneath the pad, we took another sample to see what the difference is. Theoretically, the sample coming out from under the pad should have more gold in it than the stuff we dumped on the top. We'll see what happens.
Chris has a good idea right there as far as that sluice. Put 2 or 3 riffles, then leave yourself about a foot or 2 of that sluice that's just slick,
Mm-hmm.
and then start your next riffle or your pad and your carpet and stuff, and just see what happens with those upper 3 riffles, because you may pick up a lot of that gold right instantly, or you may pick it up right after that slick plate and that separation.
By riffles, like
Just a couple of jumps. It could be even just some straight bar or a straight piece of wood.
I mean, we could screw some angle iron so it's just sticking straight up.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
That would be
Just
pretty
give it
easy
a
to
couple of jumps and then give it an area to kind of reconfigure the material.
Yeah, that'd be easy enough to
And
do.
then let it go to the carpet and your expanded steel or riffle, whatever you're using farther down in it.
Yeah. So I said that would be easy enough to do. The big problem is in the initial stages getting the slurry ratio thinner than what it is, because whatever comes out of the tank
Is what it is. Yeah, I get that. Although you've got enough length there that should in a way help. The width, you may want to cut that in a little bit, put some 2x2s in there or something, just narrow it up a bit.
Yeah.
Because it was starting to bed along the sides.
Yeah. Well, I could take those 2x2s that are there 1x2s, and instead of standing them up, I could lay them flat. That'd be easy enough to do.
Could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand, John. It's a pretty small element. I mean, it's a pretty small kiln to do that with.
Right.
But say the heating elements themselves aren't terribly expensive if we can just keep them on the, because amazingly enough, I mean, these things are just sagging all over the place. It's like, what the hell?
Heat up and
yeah, they just sag. And yet, if I go in there, wear a glove, take some big tweezers, and try and put them back, it's like they're resisting. It's just like, yeah, that's not floppy. That's
just
yeah.
Are they gaining length that they're doing that?
I don't know.
It is my considered opinion here that it's something to do with coefficients of expansion. That because they're coiled, some parts of the coil expand more than others.
I'm wondering
and cause them to sag against each other.
I don't know if we might be better served in the long run of re-annealing it once we make the coil.
Give it a little bit of heat.
Yeah, and just heat it to a dull red and then let it cool. I'm not sure. Whatever. We got enough wire to play some games.
Yeah.
And so say we'll.
That might be a good idea, actually.
Yeah. Because that may be part of the problem. It's still got a little springiness in it.
And then it's going to float on.
Yeah. So we got that to go. On Wednesday, I'm going to meet Lauren at the construction job he's working and work with him until quitting time that day. And then we're going to go to his shop and build ladder track.
You mean the goddess is taking a vacation.
And
that's how it works. You got to trade to get time or you won't get time, right?
Well, you know, it just feels right. I mean,
I told him that the other day because we want him to do some digging for us.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we can come and help you for a couple of days and then you're going to come and help us.
yeah, well, he could have used it. Those 80 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, man, them blocks.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
yeah. Retaining wall blocks.
That looked painful just looking at it.
Those are no fun.
Yeah. So.
And inevitably you smash your finger or something because you got to grab them.
No.
And somehow you got to get them into place.
Yep. So I say we're going to do that. We'll see about hard facing a keen wear plate. Now, when he hard faced my wear plate, he did a series of beads just barely touching each other, which did a great job crushing, but it actually shrank the plate a little bit. Now, the problem is the drill holes in the jaw didn't move. So trying to get the bolts in.
Curve the plate?
No, it literally shrank it.
Really?
Yep. And
Hold it together, huh?
I pulled it together. So I don't know how much it shrank, but I bought 2 new ones. We're going to hard face one, and then we'll put it against the other one
to see what happens.
And we'll see what it is.
Bolt them together. Then do the hard facing on both sides, both plates.
Whatever's the easiest way to do the hard facing, but no, don't do the other one. I understand what you're saying there. And then if it does shrink them, let's say a 16th or an 1/8 of an inch, because I couldn't even get the bolts to thread very easily. I had to loosen one way up.
Right.
So it just got like a thread.
Yeah, you got to get
and
that.
then I got the other one where I could get it to bite. I imagine if they put the very start thread a little bit different, it would have been a piece of cake. But hey,
a reamer, so you can ream the hole out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I did from the back because it's a countersunk hole, so I could enlarge the back, and that gave me a little more slack.
Can you drill the holes after you do that?
No, they're already in it. It's hardened.
In my case, the one that we have is they're already there, and then it's hardened plate.
Okay.
The problem is one of those plates without hard facing, if you're doing quartz in 5 hours, it's got a hole in it.
Really?
Yeah. It can be that abrasive. So what we're doing is hard facing, and we may actually go to just mild steel plate, because if you're hard facing, it doesn't matter how hard the plate is. It matters how brittle it is. Is it going to break? So just by using mild steel, but again, let's say it shrinks at an 1/8 of an inch when you do the full hard face, well, fine. Instead of putting the holes, let's say 11 inches apart, put them at 11 and an 1/8 inch apart.
Right.
Then when you hard face it, it just shrinks it down to what you need.
Exactly.
But we'll find out when we do, let's say, one of the plates. That's why I got 2. So I have a factory original,
right,
and the other one. And then once we've played our
see
games,
what happens.
we can see exactly what happened
and allow for it.
Yep. And go from there. You want manganese steel if it's wearing, but see, the nice thing is, Chris, you can hard face the entire wear area, and what isn't hard faced doesn't wear at all. It doesn't touch
it.
the rock.
Yeah.
And thank you, David.
Yeah.
By the way, well, that depends on what you mean by how little gold. Hopefully, with any luck, we may
It's getting better and better.
We may get into an operational profit within a couple of weeks.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, in other words, we're making more gold than we're spending money. But anyhow.
Don't forget to tell people about the drawing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. So, because we got 2 million views, I don't know how many people remember, but we said we were going to have a drawing today. So, because we had 2 million views, here's 2 1-ounce silver rounds. One is it's got a horseshoe and a 4-leaf clover for luck. The other one is essentially a simulation of an Indian head nickel. And so buffalo nickel, okay. And hey, Richard, So
Richard.
we're going to have a drawing for those two after the tinfoil hat report. Okay. We'll do it like we did the other drawing the other day. No, you sent that, right?
Yeah, the book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether Mark got it yet or not, I don't know. It went to Canuckistan. So.
Canuckistan, yeah. Right there. So anyhow, what we're going to do, and think of your strategies. We're going to take a coin, quarter, whatever. Oh, I got a 50-cent piece today.
No, a Morgan silver dollar. My brand new
That's a little
Morgan.
hard to flip one of those babies. They're too big. So let's see. How easy is this to flip? Oh, that didn't work too well. Got the
What
light
year
lines.
is it?
Went right over his head.
That's not easy enough to flip. It's been a while since
Back
I
to-
tried this,
Back
man.
to a quarter.
Okay.
You can do
So,
it.
can you flip a coin easy?
No, not with a damn.
Not worth a damn.
Let me try it.
Okay.
Joe can. We could let Joe
We
do
may
it.
get our helper here. Okay. So, Joe, you're going to be the official coin flipper. Not right now. It's going to be about an hour and a half. And anyhow, so we're going to flip a coin 10 times. Or, well, 10, because 0 is a possibility. Very unlikely.
Yeah.
And that will be the first digit. Then we'll flip it another 10 times. That'll be the second digit. And you pick a number between 1 and 99, and that'll be after the tinfoil hat report. We'll have a 5-minute period, and that'll make it real easy for the secretary to write everything down and keep it straight. So just be aware.
It'll probably take a month to get there, Lars.
And the
Yeah.
first winner gets to choose which of the 2 different rounds they want.
Yeah, and the first one who
Winner
wins
gets the other round.
can pick whichever one they want, and the second winner will get the second round. That way we can stretch it out a little bit. The excitement, the thrills. But anyhow, and Joe's already got his thing in there, but we're going to be watching carefully to make sure he doesn't cheat. Okay. So think of how you want to play your strategy there, and what number you want to pick. And the first person who picks whatever number
Or the closest
gets
number, I
that.
guess, depending
And-
on how many people we got.
Oh, and the other thing is closest without going over.
Closest without going
Without
over.
going over,
That's
because
what
that
we
way
did
there can only be
yep,
one.
Yep, that's that way. That's what we did before.
The goddess wants pie.
Yeah. Has anyone seen Aussie Bloke Prosper's way of catching the gold at low angle and slow water and a vibrate? I think I saw that one time. Yeah. Probably not in my situation. It might work, but I really don't think at this point I have enough gold to worry about. I'm just checking that
Right.
because that may change any particular
Your time.
batch.
Yeah, right. As the rock changes, that could change.
Yeah. And
That's,
so,
you may not need that long of a. You could have the sluice, but not necessarily have it riffles the whole damn way or something.
yeah.
I mean, you could confine it to the top couple feet.
Yeah.
So you're only cleaning, you can go over there, flip that mat over into a pan and check it and say, nothing, be done with it without spending hours trying to pan a bunch of material.
Yeah. So you guys have come up with a couple ideas where basically the first half of the sluice will be a couple riffles and slick plate,
Some slick, a couple,
then some hog mat and
Yep.
some miner's
But
moss,
you
and we're
could
done.
keep it to, short sections, because if all of a sudden you do get a positive situation,
Yep.
you can add more and do whatever you think you might have
So
to do.
initially we probably dig up that pile there
Right.
and
But
set it
if
to
you
the
can
side.
catch it early enough like that, it's not a bad recovery situation.
Paul Coover, is it all fine? According to the electron microscopy done at the Montana Tech, it is 80% passing 6.8 microns, which I believe is about 2,000 mesh. So 80% passing 2,000 mesh roughly.
Yeah.
What did you find in the sluice? Almost nothing at this point. I haven't panned the last section yet. I'm also going to pan the stuff in the tub and the stuff that was coming out of the sluice after I'd moved the tub to see, I need like $50 to the ton to worry about the gravity gold. Okay. And if there's $50 to the ton in gravity gold, I'll be able to pan that from the raw material.
Right.
So we shall find out. I was busy last week doing other things at the mill, such as lining the new pregnant pond and such. And then I say we got the thing to the furnace to fix.
What else is new?
And we're doing some testing on the resin to see if we can reduce the gold to metallic gold, allowing us to ash the resin without huge losses. Depending upon what we do in the ashing process, we have had up to 50% losses, and so that's, simply ridiculous. That's beyond unreasonable. But according to Tricky Dicky, the guy at DuPont says, first you got to reduce the gold from complexes down to metallic gold. We're trying vitamin C,
Ascorbic acid,
vinegar, and that something or other 3 precipitating solution. KD3, which is probably some hydrazine thing. Hydrazine is a strong reducing agent.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, dang. And we have some interesting visual changes in the resin. Now, it's kind of hard to describe, but the resin, as we normally have it, like this, the beads are pretty opaque, although I don't know if you can see it here.
He's describing this entirely wrong, people, just so you know.
Yeah. Anyhow, it looks kind of ruby red. Joe, do you want to look? But it's rather opaque. And one thing we noticed was after the treatment with the KD3, were especially noticeable, the color lightened up and also became much more transparent. Now, we have these weighing boats. They're little plastic things that you can put on your scale and put stuff in, and they pour out the corner.
Right.
And they work really nice. They're also white. And so when you're looking at the beads under a microscope now, the light goes through the bead, hits the white, and glows back. So it looks like a little aura on the side away from the illumination source. It really does look like it's glowing.
Huh.
The surface, not the bead itself.
Right.
So this is stuff that's already been done.
Yeah, that's got gold in it. That's running about 5% gold.
But yeah, you can see that it's translucent, that it's transparent.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's transparent. If you look at them under light, under magnification, before we did this, the light would go right through them and they glow like ruby Christmas bulbs with no aura. Now the surface is a matte finish and there's an aura.
Okay.
Interesting.
But anyhow, so there's visual differences. Eva will be doing some tests this week to try and ascertain whether that has helped or hindered the losses issue, and we'll go from there. If we can stop the losses during ashing, then smelting the resin becomes quite easy. All we have to do is ash it first, and then we can.
Have a decent furnace It doesn't break down every 2.5
Well,
seconds.
what we'll probably do if we can do it with minimal losses, then what we'll probably do to do a larger batch is to like go over to Lauren's house. He's got a propane fired furnace,
Yep.
and put a good charge in there.
Yep.
And
Charge.
he's got exhaust for it in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, he's got a nice setup there.
Yeah. So we can try furnacing a decent amount of resin into ash, and then throw flux in there and deal with it that way. Right now, because the litharge is actually providing a lot of the oxygen to break down the resin, we have to use a lot of litharge, which means we got to, cupel it, and it's just not terribly efficient. So, can you get or make sodium citrate? Is that citric acid? We can get citric acid, but I don't know about sodium citrate.
You'd have to look
Citric
that up.
acid is available in the canning department, if you're canning food.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get some. We have Amazon, it's not like, we're in the Philippines or something. And so we could say right now we got 3 different tests running, and we also have Lawrence in Tucson, who's actually a process engineer who's trying to develop a elution process where we can actually recover the gold from the resin and reuse the resin.
That would be cool.
Well, we'll see if that works out. The value of the resin per se, if we destroy it, is only 1% of the entrained gold value. So it doesn't really bother us a heck of a lot.
No, but it could become hard to get certain things at some point.
Also, the resin that we expose to the sodium hydroxide and Eco Goldex solution, when Eva fired that, it gave a better recovery. It gave a pretty good recovery. So it may be that we're removing iron. We got very little gold in solution. At room temperature, we got 35 parts per million in solution. At simmering temperature, we got about 135 parts per million in solution, which, considering the gold in the resin is somewhere like 20,000 parts per million, is insignificant.
Okay.
So the idea is, if there's something else in there that's causing the problem,
right?
For example, in that Bureau of Mines study, they found that they would get like 3 to 5% losses of gold chloride at 250 C with just gold chloride and silica. But you throw some pyrite in there and it jumped into 95% losses. So it may be something else is also a significant cofactor here. We don't know, but Eva's having fun trying all this stuff while I'm doing all the grunt work, which is fine with me. It's a real blessing to have her take care of all this other stuff.
And pay attention.
Yeah. Also, we're both getting a lot stronger, and wow, a lot of stuff just going fast here. What happened?
Sudden came up.
A lot of people. Yeah. Just a second. Yeah, exactly, John. We're storing the resin wet in Ziploc bags until we figure out exactly what we want to do with it. Because the mining season here is of limited duration.
Yeah.
Right now,
winter is coming.
Winter is coming. We're mining and we're leaching and getting it in the resin as fast as we can. Yeah, you're right, Rock. It smells pretty bad. Yep, it smells like day-old fish.
Yeah,
It's not
Fish
pleasant.
taste.
Yep.
Fish paste.
But anyhow, so I'll say we're doing a lot of various experiments there, and Javier down in Colombia, and Tricky Dicky in the Philippines, and Lawrence in Tucson. They're all working on this too, along with us. And Chris, of course, is helping us tremendously out here. The accounting lady saying, hopefully it wasn't to fish. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on in the lab right now. The mining is picking up. The veins getting wider and softer. We're still progressing. I'm quite surprised. We're sinking like 2 feet a day, just Eva and me.
Well, that's cool.
And Eva, of course, is invaluable both for running the hoist and for offloading the high line at the bottom. And she's really getting a lot stronger. In a couple of weeks, she's like double the size bucket.
It's definitely good exercise if you can handle it.
Oh, I tell you, man,
the more you do, after a couple of weeks, you even know you're getting better.
I'm getting the urge to do another Prospecting Fitness University International video. But yes, she is, David. But that's going along well. It had to be a very small dredge. But the mining, we're just getting down to where the veins should be opening up. I mean, above us, it's 4 feet wide.
Right.
And below us, just below in the decline there, it's like 2 feet wide that we can see.
It's kind of oily, actually, isn't it? It doesn't really dry, does it?
It doesn't really dry. It's
got a.
We like to double contain it.
Right. Keep the air
in a
off
Ziploc bag inside a bucket.
You could do that in a sealed bucket, though, couldn't you, too?
I would imagine.
With an O-ring gasket
Well, I
bucket.
keep it in a very tightly closed bag inside the bucket. When we are loading cartridges, I will twist the bag down and press on it until all the air is out, then tuck the end under the bag before I put the lid on. Because I don't trust that stuff not to dry out, and I don't know if we'll be able to find it next year.
Another thing we need to determine, we have, using the spot test, we're able to get a pretty good idea when the gold cartridge is no longer recovering substantial amounts of gold. We can see the difference. Now, the earlier stuff we were running had lower concentrations of gold in the solution than I think what we got now. So an interesting question is, can we take the resin that was loaded earlier, put it back in circuit, and load it some more? Another question we need to determine, and we can probably do this in a small little package deal, tea bag sort of thing, is to elute some resin with the
clear it and then try to
sodium hydroxide Eco Goldex and see if that
results.
opens up binding sites again.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the sodium hydroxide Eco Goldex, it's not like they can be just dumped right into the leach tank, because what do you need? Hydroxide and Eco Goldex.
Yep.
We use lime, but sodium works fine.
Sure.
And so were you asking what the spot test is, Mr. Virtue? It's a test that Lauren and I developed last winter. We're using a ceramic spot plate that has little wells in it. You can put a 1/2 ml of solution and a drop of this KD3 indicator, let it dry, and you'll get a color. And the color is directly proportional to the amount of gold in the solution. And this allows us to test the heads, the tails from stage 1, tails from stage 2, tails from stage 3, which is tails of the whole system, for about 4 cents.
Yeah, that's the neat part.
You know, and so it's very inexpensive, very simple, and it allows us to not guess. If the resin's loaded, we can take it out of circuit. If it's not loaded, we're not pulling it out too early.
Right.
We may also put in a fourth cartridge because that gives us another scavenger stage there. So we can, again, try and load that first stage up even higher. We'll see. And I actually have 4 cartridges, set up, but the first one is just a filter right now. With the new, what do you call it? Pregnant pond, there shouldn't be near the problem of mud getting into it that was in the old setup.
Yeah.
It was really easy. If you just accidentally overflowed something, it just all runs down to the pregnant.
Yeah. And
you got a problem. So let's say we shall see what we shall see. But that's pretty clear solution. We wouldn't need that filter cartridge. We could go to 4 resin cartridges.
Yeah.
And that could be helpful, especially if we're trying to increase the loading on some old resin. We could, crank that up. We'd have,
see what happens and still have that extra.
And still have 3 in, in backup there.
Backup, yeah.
So we shall see. But we're making progress all over the board here, in my opinion. We were very, very happy with the load we got this weekend. We definitely got more than a ton. I've got a bathroom scale. We're going to weigh the buckets on the trailer and get a good idea of exactly how much we got. No, I haven't had a chance. I did see the email, but I haven't got. I am just going crazy here. What I'm trying to do is develop a mine, put it into production, build and debug a mill, figure out a process,
develop a process, yeah,
and mine and grind ore as fast as we can. Yeah, David, and
yeah. And run faster.
And so I'm a little bit frazzled, actually. There's times I'm tired, and I'm concerned about my mental acuity.
That's why you take a day off and go fishing.
Well, I've got an appointment with we're working on some testing because I have had a stroke.
Yeah.
And so we're running some testing and seeing if there's anything that they can point to and say, okay, here's a problem. It may just be I'm an old guy pushing it. It could also be something else. We'll see.
It gets harder every day.
No, Lars, that would require spending time writing. But I'm videotaping things.
That's been my problem. The books take time.
Well, once we get the process figured out and kind of debugged,
then it's duplicatable at all different levels.
Then things like the ladder track. For example, I figured out just this weekend that putting the pinholes 3 inches from the end, because you got 6 inches of insertion in each one, and that's in the middle, is too close to the bottom rung, which has a second rung there that's just got holes in it to attach. So you can run like a 4x4 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the rung that you're actually putting your feet on is raised above whatever that cross piece is that you're screwing to.
Attaching strip.
Well, that puts the bottom of that so close you can't really cross drill underneath it. And if things aren't lining up perfectly, sometimes you need to take a 3/8 drill and just ream the holes out. Well, that was not very doable this week. So, okay, I'll put the pin 1 inch from the end. Because after all it does is keep it from sliding out.
Right.
It's the insertion amount that gives you your strength of the joint.
Right.
So we got that there. aside from that, on the head frame and carriage, we're
Yeah,
probably a
you
little
better-
bit far back.
Yeah, you better pull it ahead a little bit.
That's a little better. Okay, we have this head frame. It's like this. And there's some threaded rod that goes through here so that this angle is easily adjustable. And these have 2 bolts that go through to hold it together. And then at the end of each trip, pull these rods out, pull those pins, take the 2 pieces and hang them in the shaft. Well, not unreasonably, I thought, I put a pulley right here. Figuring here's my carriage, you know, with the wheels, and it would attach here. Well, the problem with that is when you hang buckets in here, these wheels
Pull away.
pull away.
Yep.
So you actually need to attach it more like here so that at that angle,
With that, or even raise it higher.
you know,
Come up higher here, and it'll keep it pressured against the track.
well, we find if you put it too high, then these wheels come off. It's really hilarious.
Well, with the weight in it, those shouldn't. But,
Uh,
if you can get higher, it'll hold the front in against the track.
But anyhow, as this comes up to here, then all of a sudden, here's your pulley, and here's your track here, because it's just, you know,
Yeah.
pin. Here's your upper cross piece. Okay, pieces of strap. Well, this winds up with an, I think it goes up actually. This winds up going up to the attachment yoke. And so the next one will actually go up a little and put the pulley out here
Space it out.
to get this perfectly in line with that. And also a little higher because this goes through an opening in the side of a hill, which for reasons beyond my control, I can't control. And so when you have this and the hook and the yoke and all this other stuff, the carriage is like here, which means I actually have to duck underneath it to get on the ladder. So we can also raise it a bit at the same time.
Get it away from you a
To
little
get it
more.
uphill more. Now here's another problem with this whole situation. We're using a Harbor Freight 1,500 pound winch. Okay. Now the problem with a 1,500 pound Harbor Freight winch is it only has like 30 feet of cable, 35 feet of cable.
Yeah. No.
We're
spool.
20 feet down now.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting down to like the last 6 or 7 wraps on the spool right now.
Yeah, that's not a good place.
So that isn't going to work. So here's my plan. Okay.
Bigger winch,
I'm gonna
smaller cable.
Well, we can go to smaller cable, which is one possibility,
Bigger winch, small cable.
you know, but it's also very slow.
They are slow.
And
The bigger the drum, the more speed you can get out of carrying it.
Is that to get your buckets up from the bottom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got an ore car that runs on tracks coming up, but it's an inclined shaft, so it's going into the ground at like 60 degrees.
so
It's
anyhow,
steep. It's almost like a ladder leaning against the side of the house.
so here's our
The
cart
shaft-
here
Shaft goes in.
like that. Right now, basically this comes to the yoke. Okay. Now, here's my evil plan.
To the cable.
I'll go down here and attach a cable, run it up under this, and hang a pulley on this cable here.
Rides on the ladder.
So for every foot that this moves, this pulley, the cart will move 2 feet.
Yeah, you could do that.
And therefore I can get another 20, 25 feet out of it, and it'll move twice as fast.
True.
Now, this cart is typically carrying, well, let's say about 40 pounds for the cart, 4 pounds for buckets, and each bucket about 30 pounds. So we're looking at less than 200 pounds. The winch is rated at 1,500.
Right.
So we
you're
should
not-
be
Yeah.
well within the capacity of the winch.
Even if you double this to 400 pounds by
We're still almost
switching on
1/4 of
cable,
its
right? You're
capacity.
still, yeah.
And we already have another piece of cable. It's like a 50-foot cable. And so,
Chris, that's the element of fun. You got to add fun to your job.
yeah.
Unsecured skid. Yeah.
Well, it's a snarl asking to happen if you lose tension. You know, you're going to have to get the extra cable and coil it carefully and put it under the track out of the way. And you're going to have to get it just exactly the right length and secure it at that length to operate. And then once you're past that thing, then you have to put more cable into play. But by doing this, now the next problem is we're running out of extension cord. Okay, we drive up in the quad with the generator, set the generator on the ground at the road level.
Yeah, but now you're going up and then down.
Exactly. So now we're going to need to get the generator higher up on the hill. Okay, we can get 10 to 15 feet by just making a little path right there at the bottom of the dump and getting it a little bit closer to directly underneath and a little higher. The best thing would be to actually haul it up to the old lower decline platform there where their old ore bins were. And the challenge there is getting it up a steep, narrow path.
Right.
So what I'm going to try and do is hitch up to the workhorse over here.
Yeah.
You know, have her with a rope or a strap and a wheelbarrow, because it's only got one wheel, so it's easy to maneuver on a fairly narrow, winding path. I'll be pushing, she'll be pulling. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You can get a wheel kit for those generators.
Yeah, but then you're out wide.
But they're fairly wide.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm having fun. My Bosch jackhammer has wheels this far apart. And it was trying to skid over and run on rocks and things like that.
Yeah, roll over on you.
So we'll see what happens there. And yeah. How does the cable pull 1 foot and get 2 foot of movement? Okay. You got a pulley here, and cable goes this way, and this is your cart. Okay. Sure. Now, if this is a regular block and tackle, you'd have it anchored here and you'd pull this way, and the pulley would move half the distance that you pulled the rope. That's how block and tackle gives you extra strength. We're reversing it. We're, instead of trying to pull this load, this is trying to pull this load. So again, for every 2 feet here, you get 1 foot of movement there. Or conversely, if you get 1 foot of movement here, you get 2 foot of movement here. So that's how it works. It's a reverse block and tackle. It's gonna make it harder to pull, which is why the capacity of the winch was critical. The capacity of the wire rope.
You got overkill there.
In English, it's magic. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Rick.
And hi, Ricky. So I say the other thing. I mean, I get kind of bored waiting down there for that thing to show up at times.
Yeah, that's so slow.
They are very slow.
That's where the bigger winches were nice. They could let out the brakes and send it down a little faster. As long as it didn't.
Hey,
throw
Busted,
it out the
how's it
track.
going? Haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, Busted.
Hope things are going well down there.
He's had some good videos lately.
So anyhow, that's some of the issues that are planned to be modified out there at the mine soon. another issue is this distance down the ladder now is sufficient to kill me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm very comfortable on a ladder. You've seen me when we were roofing and stuff. But one screw up could get rather painful.
Yeah, you get hurt. Yeah.
So, especially when we're hanging these head frame sections in the shaft, I'm on a ladder
Trying to swing stuff around.
with my feet leaning against the ladder and using my hands to deal with that. And that leaves me with no backup system. So I'm going to get a extra big carabiner and a short rope. I'll wear my harness. And the idea is to have the rope just the right length.
I've got some tie-off harnesses, I think.
Yeah, I got a great harness.
They actually got the big clip on them so you can lock them onto whatever the hell you want.
Is that clip removable or are they attached permanently with me?
I don't know. I'd have to look at them. But then they're just a short strap that you can hook into your harness. So it's just hanging there.
Well, if I could borrow one
you're not tripping over it. But when you're up somewhere, you can lock it to a ladder or you can lock it to a post.
That's great, Busted.
That's what it is, Chris. It's a lanyard for like a lineman or something.
Yeah,
but
if
I used to use it
for
with steel
a week or so.
It was just I could lock it onto damn near anything, and the farthest you're going to fall is about 2 feet.
Say,
you know,
if I could borrow one this week, I'd appreciate it.
I'll have to go dig.
Yeah,
I know I got one.
Okay. No, we do not have compressed air. Everything we set up on Friday, we have to tear down on Sunday. This adds about 5 hours of
tear down
time to the whole thing. Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of time on a 3-day trip.
Yeah.
But it's necessary because of permitting. You know, we can't leave anything there.
Yeah.
So, and say, I appreciate that, but that's one thing I think it was this trip where I'm up at the top looking down and I see one shelf and 2 shelves and then it's below that bottom deck, I can reach out and it's at least a foot taller than the ceiling is right here.
Yeah.
So, I'm down there.
Yeah.
And
you want to be safe.
Yep.
Always be safe, guys. Oh yeah, John, you leave anything up here, somebody's bound to say, oh, look.
No, I'm talking when I'm on the ladder is what I was talking about, Rock. I'm thinking this winter to see about putting some kind of the equivalent of safety dogs on the
cart.
On the cart.
Yeah, that's doable.
Because you could have hooks that
override like
pivot,
a ladder.
Yeah. And have springs so that when you got the weight on it, they're out of the way, and then if the cable comes loose or whatever, they'll just swing in and grab the rungs of the ladder. Yeah. And I say when I'm on that, because also, for some reason, when you got a couple platforms just sitting there, just right there, you tend to put stuff on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing how that's possible, but by the time you get a regular kind of dog sort of thing, first of all, they have wood guides for that reason, or I'd have to space the ladder track off of the cross pieces so that you can get around it. It can be done.
Oh yeah, something that could grab it.
Yeah, it's designed so these things can work. But as I say, we'll work on that. Right now, what I do is when she's hoisting, I'm just standing back.
Best thing you can do, get away out of the way.
And
if it comes down, it goes right on by you.
Well, not in my case, because I'm at the bottom level. I'm at the level right there. It's going to hit right there, which is too close for comfort, but what can you do? Yeah, it's not a tower. It's a hole in the ground with some tight fits. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I could do it with a rope and a Jumar, but then I've got to constantly move the Jumar.
Right. Adjust
And-
length, yeah, where you're at.
Yeah, and say it's got to be. So I think I'm probably safer on the ladder if I'm just moving unencumbered. 2 feet, 2 hands, 3 points of contact. Again, but if I'm doing something while I'm on the ladder, I should be hooked off.
Well,
Especially those
Yep.
those head frame pieces. Those are
Pretty
I don't
good
know, what,
size.
50 pounds.
yes, and yours truly would much prefer it if you were tied up.
Well, that's
Okay, now
just-
let's not talk about.
I know.
Let's keep this as a work, okay? um,
The world is a safer place when the bear is suitably restrained.
you can take that 2 ways, but whichever way you want. There's also, an auto belay setup or a safety reel.
Yeah.
The kind
Yeah,
where if you
right.
start
You
moving
can
fast.
go out slow, but you can't go fast. Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. There are ways to do it. I say right now it'll just be a quick little snap thing. And we'll have to see how the stuff develops. Now, we may wind up tunneling into that wall behind that.
I would watch it. I mean, even if you drop down another few feet, pay attention to that and see what happens.
Well, I want it to be at least that high.
Right. Well, not only that, you could actually be a little higher than that because you can just stope it out and knock
Yeah.
it right down to your feet.
Yeah.
If you're going to tunnel it.
So
But yeah, you definitely leave yourself some head height.
yeah, because we could tunnel behind the ladder track,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be too difficult. What I'm thinking is we could make like a hinged piece of ladder track so that
Move it out of your way.
where one of the connectors allows it to pivot and the other one
Just
is
locks into a cradle.
it lays into a cradle,
Yeah.
because we're at a decline. It's not like a vertical shaft.
Right.
You wouldn't even need to pin it in place.
No,
Gravity
just
works.
Tip it up there.
Yeah, just tip it out of the way, go and mine some stuff,
Yeah.
then slip it back, lower the carriage down, and like that.
Yeah, Lars.
I see it, Chris. In my case, I've got a good rappelling harness, so the attachment point is right about at my belly button, and that'll work pretty well. If you got the whole harness and stuff, that will arrest you better in a fall, absolutely, but it's a lot more cumbersome
Something to
too.
work in. It's tough
Yeah.
to work in that crap.
I'm working in pretty tight quarters. I'm getting really tired of stepping on the cord of that jackhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that much fun.
Well, about it. It would be if you were like falling 20 feet and hitting the end. If I've got a 2-foot rope and a hook,
Yeah, right.
I'm not
You're
going to fall very far.
No, just far enough to hit your head on the side of the back or something.
I don't know, Rock. There's very little room to work down there. I understand what you're saying, but it also has to be out of the way of the carriage, and this and that and the other, all at the
Yeah,
same
there's all
time.
kinds of things to snag.
Yeah, it could get interesting. We'll keep thinking, and if we can see something to improve it, that'll be fine. Sala, huh? That's an inertia reel sort of
Yeah.
brake. Okay. The cable would run down the back. Yeah, but then how is it going to run down the back when it's not vertical? It's a 60-degree angle. It's going to slop against the ladder track unless you got hooks that you're constantly hanging it on your way down. And so it's just
Is that what you're writing this off as, Paul? Safety meeting?
So again, it's one of those things that there's a lot of different things to take into account. And just like if we're looking at, well, how much tension to hold 20 feet of cable, out of the
It's
way.
Real, yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You always got that tension on it.
Yeah. I say,
Yeah. It's like working on a fishing line.
see this little owie?
Yeah.
Okay. That's from jackhammering one side and getting jammed into the rib on the other side from the recoil. Okay. I said there's lots of good systems out there for different things. We'll see what makes the most sense here. But I say it's one of those deals where nothing's perfectly safe. And when you're on a budget, sometimes you gotta, you gotta pay attention. I mean, when we were up on that roof, were we wearing harnesses?
Hell no.
No. And that was a fairly steep pitch for no harnesses.
That wasn't that bad. As long as you're not sliding.
Yeah.
You start to get to 7 or better,
Well, the thing is, it was steep, but two things. Number one, if you go flat, you can stop.
No.
And number two, there's only a 6-foot drop at the edge because it was kind of cut into a hillside. So it's not a huge fall, even if you do fall.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to fall.
No.
Even if you land good, later on the repercussions of that are
yeah, permanent
Yeah.
often. Yep. I had a friend whose dad died falling off a 10-foot roof. Landed wrong.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Oh yeah, Chris. So it died when I was younger, which now I get to pay for. Now it's why my knees hurt.
Yeah. So there's times when you look at it and go, oh, I need something here. And again, I've been going up and down this ladder for months without thinking about it because it started out it was this tall.
Right. You're only going down 6 feet, and then 8 feet, and then 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there really a Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or did Humphrey Bogart make that up? That particular one was made up.
Yeah.
My body's still working amazingly well considering how old I am and did a lot of heavy equipment operation and stuff like that. And
eat a good diet.
she takes care of me too.
Yeah, I don't know. You pay for all that fun you had when you were 20, though.
Yeah. What was that? Oh.
What's that? All your life flight membership documents. Hopefully you never need to use it.
It is nice to have cell coverage from the mine.
Yeah.
Now her phone doesn't work
Yeah,
for the
see a lot
dog,
of
but mine
places,
does.
Joe and I've been in the last week. Once you leave the asphalt, basically you ended cell phone coverage.
Yeah.
Some places even on the asphalt, no cell phone coverage. But
Well, there's a couple times it's been really useful. That one time I called Chris because the smoke rolled in from who knows where, and I wanted to find out what was going on. And this weekend, I called up Lauren. What's the weather? It's raining here. I mean, just rain. It's been raining for hours. What's the plan? Is it going to be doing this for the next
here
day and
we
a
didn't
half?
get nothing.
Yeah.
A little farther north here.
We got the little handheld CBs. hams. Chris, we haven't got the license yet, but they're sitting over there, actually. Little handheld. I think they're the 5 waters, but I don't know. And yeah, and.
Oh yeah, there's no end to it.
I think Eva would do well as a mineralogist.
Yeah, we can rock. As a matter of fact, a guy we've been just dealing with this week just got a system and put it in up there. And we don't have cell phone coverage in that area probably for 7 miles. And he could Wi-Fi his phone to the Starlink system. He said, I got better internet here than I do in my office in Colorado. And he said, and the phone is crystal clear going Wi-Fi onto the Musk system. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yep. That's the modern stuff is really special.
Yeah, sometimes texting will work, even though your cell phone, the phone won't. Texting sometimes will work depending on where you're at in here. But
yeah, Eva might be able to text.
That new Starlink system though is gonna redo a lot of things because you can put it almost anywhere, get a satellite or two, and you've got internet phone.
Starlink is Skynet. End of story.
It's pretty neat.
What is Skynet?
Terminator movies. Yeah, it was the computer network that took over the world and decided that humans were unpredictable and dangerous, so we need to get rid of them.
Just a Democrat.
Well, like I say, Rock, using your Wi-Fi, you can actually use your cell phone, actual phone calls, crystal clear. No, I've used other systems like that where you get the breakup almost like talking to somebody with walkie-talkies. You know, it's just really hard to have a conversation. And this is crystal clear, just like you and I are sitting here talking. I mean, cool. I was just like, wow. And it's a total area with no cell coverage.
It is pretty warm. It's in the mid-90s this week.
It was 95 or 96 here a little while ago.
Now, last weekend was cool.
Well, a couple days it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I know that. When did we come back, Joe? Sunday? No, Monday. We came back Monday, didn't we?
Monday from the mall.
Yeah. We came back on Monday.
It was 104.
Yeah, well, up there though it was 48 degrees in the morning, and within an hour of driving down, it was already like pushing 90.
Wow.
So to go from this nice, cool, crisp weather, almost like frost weather, to coming back to this was like, oh my God.
We actually turned the heater on Saturday afternoon and into the evening because by the time we got off the hill, we're a little bit damp, and the temperatures were probably in the 60s. You know, it was very good working weather, but if anything, a little on the cool side. And of course, I wasn't dressed for it.
Right.
So
you get used to the heat, and you forget to throw a shirt or a jacket in the truck.
So we went and I turned on the heater for an hour or two there. And we had dinner and this and that, and then once we were all settled in for the night, then turn it off because that thing's so well insulated. I mean, she'd already opened up the vent by morning just from the body heat. Yep. So,
well, you guys blindside toward Billings and that got rain out here. We never got rain yesterday. It all stayed east of us. A little bit north, I guess. Up at Great Falls, they had a little bit yesterday too. But
oh, there's something else. Oh, that vibration on the truck.
Yeah,
I think I've got it figured out. I'll find out later this week. Another thing for us to do, Lauren. Tomorrow I should get some air shocks in.
Yeah,
not gas shocks, but
air
pump them up. Yeah. It's supposed to take 500 pounds of load each. And I think it's the pinion angle because my springs right now
are flat. Yeah, that's a lot of weight there.
And I think maybe you'll know better, but on leaf springs, when you're heavily loaded and then going over.
Yeah, they get real leany.
Yeah. Well, doesn't that take some of the sproing out of them? Because they're really getting work when they're already under a lot of stress.
You know, you're in that way. You've got that truck loaded. Yeah. Or getting some brand new leaf springs under it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because the older they get, the flatter they get. They just start to lay out.
Yeah. That would be the thing. Would be to get reconditioned heavier springs. But for a quick temporary fix, I'm planning on just a couple of air shocks under there. That'll bring it up some. If that gets rid of the vibration, well, no, that's what it is. It's the pinion angle. And then
there you go, Eva.
I agree, Rainmaker, but that'll probably wait for the winter time.
Howdy, howdy. Oh, yeah, airbags, wintertime type stuff, you know.
Beer, that's it.
Well, yeah, we all see how this is going to go, right? Hi, Lars. Hi, Kodak. Hi, Rainmaker. Hi, David. Hi, everybody. In case anyone missed the news earlier today, apparently the FBI has decided to have a convention at Mar-a-Lago while Trump was in New York. Hi, Mr. Virtue. Rainmaker, I think Bitcoin may decide to break out again for a while. It could go up about as high as probably 30, 35, maybe even 40. But I would watch for a pump and dump because I don't trust any of these guys at the moment as far as I can throw them. I mean, we all know how things get manipulated, you know. Yeah, I am so dangerous, Kodak, that they decided to attack me with my own signs. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Sign.
Gotta watch out for these people. Yeah, apparently the FBI decided while Trump was in New York that they were going to have a little convention at his house and serve a warrant of some kind. The reports are sketchy as to how many, but this was the DC FBI, and they told the Miami field office FBI at the absolute last minute. Those look 50 to the National Archives, but the turns out that 15 boxes of things had already been turned over to the National Archives way back a couple of Januaries ago. So no idea what's going on with that, but of course it is in no way political. It is absolutely justified. And you know, the FBI warrants on former presidents when they're not even home on a very regular basis. So that's the way that goes. You may have noticed that Lord Malarkey gave his opinion on the new Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, the mainstream media has decided is all about climate change and healthcare. He said it was indeed about healthcare and God knows what else, and then he took off. But we do know that it includes another 87,000 infernal revenue serpents. And scuttlebutt from the IRS website says they're not going to be doing more audits on people earning over $1 million. And they're only going to be doing a few more audits on people earning over $100,000. And they're going to be doing quite a whole lot more audits on people earning between 100 and, you know, between 50 and 100,000. And for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, they're planning to do over 313,000 audits on people earning between $1 and $25,000. That would include people like Professor Hard Rock and yours truly. So this leads to a serious fashion question, folks. When it comes time for me to meet the Internal Revenue Service agents, should I wear this tinfoil hat, or should I finally finish my steampunk tinfoil top hat with the brass goggles and the crocheted copper veil? What do you think? I mean, just wondering. This is a serious fashion dilemma here because actually, you know, the steampunk tinfoil top hat might be just a little bit over the top for day wear, but I do want to dress to impress when I get audited, you know. Yeah, Jeff, I'm thinking the steampunk too. Rock Butcher, exactly. My question on that, though, I'm thinking in the brass goggles, I should use cobalt colored glass just because, you know, or one red lens and one blue one, so I get the full stereo effect of the Matrix while I'm looking at them. We shall see. And in other news, Chile is very upset about the sinkhole. In case you missed it, a random sinkhole decided to appear near a very large copper mine. The sinkhole has gotten quite impressive. It's nearly perfectly circular now, and about 80 feet across and very deep, and it's got water at the bottom. Chile will seek harsh sanctions to those responsible for a huge sinkhole near a copper mine in the country's north, the mining minister said on Monday. The mysterious hole of 36.5 meters in diameter that emerged in late July has provoked the mobilization of local authorities and led to the mining regulator to suspend operations of a nearby mine owned by Canada's London in the northern district of Candelaria. We're going to go all the way with consequences to sanction, not just fine, mining minister Marcela Hernando said in a press release, adding fines tend to be insignificant and the ruling must be exemplary to mining companies. Odd use of the word exemplary, but okay. Chilean authorities have not provided details of the investigation into the causes of the sinkhole. Local and foreign media showed various aerial images of the huge hole in a field near the London mining operation, about 665 kilometers north of the Chilean capital. Initially, the hole, near the town of Tierra Amarilla, measured about 25 meters, 82 feet across, with water visible at the bottom. The Canadian firm owns 80% of the property, while the remaining 20% is in the hands of Japan's Sumitomo Metal Mining Company Limited and Sumitomo Corporation. The minister added although the company's mining regulators had carried out an inspection in the area in July, it was not able to detect this overexploitation. That also makes us think we have to reformulate what our inspection processes are. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't just have random sinkholes appearing everywhere. That's a little bit bizarre, to say the least. There are many bizarre things. Yeah, Kodak. Don't go near politicians. You don't want to catch what made them. That's like somebody was saying we should eat the rich. No, thank you. I don't know where they've been or what their diet is like. That would be about as sketchy as eating a vegan. You know, I mean, just saying. I prefer my herbivores to have 4 feet and go moo, of which there are plenty of those around here. We are very lucky about that. Oz Minerals rebuffs $5.8 billion takeover bid from BHP. Good for Oz Minerals. Australian copper producer Oz Minerals rejected on Monday an unsolicited 8.4 billion Australian, 5.8 billion US takeover bid from the world's largest miner, BHP, stating it significantly undervalued the firm. Early on Monday, BHP had offered $25 per share Australian for Oz Minerals, representing a 32.1% premium to the stock's closing price on Friday. The approach is part of BHP's ongoing quest to expand its copper portfolio, which would have benefited from the target company's Patina and Prominent Hill projects in South Australia. Oz Minerals operates copper mines in South Australia, where BHP has its giant Olympic Dam operation and Oak Dam prospect. The company also has nickel deposits in Western Australia and projects in Brazil. Chief Executive Officer Andrew Cole said BHP's approach did not appreciate the growth potential of its company's copper and nickel assets in quality locations. We are mining minerals that are in strong demand, particularly for the global electrification and decarbonization thematic. And we have a long life resource and reserve base, Cole said. We do not consider the proposal from BHP sufficiently recognizes these attributes. And they're right. BHP CEO Mike Henry said he was disappointed to learn that Oz Minerals board was not willing to entertain his company's compelling offer. Maybe because it wasn't a compelling offer, just saying. Or provide access to due diligence in relation to its proposal. Why? Our proposal represents compelling value and certainty for Oz Minerals shareholders. in the face of a deteriorating external environment and increased OZL operational and growth-related funding challenges, Henry said. Shares of Oz Minerals have lost more than 40% of their value so far this year on the back of COVID-related absenteeism and lockdowns in top buyer China, which has hit copper demand. Analysts forecast a change in market conditions during the second half of the year, especially in Australia, as the government rolls out stimulus to support economic growth. Oh, it's a lovely idea. Most financial and market experts, however, backed BHP's attempt to acquire Oz. The offer is compelling. That seems to be the word of the day here, and aligns with BHP's strategy of increasing exposure toward future-facing commodities. Translation into English: they wanted to swoop in and pick up a good deal in advance of anybody else. RBC Capital Market analyst Con Peaker said in a note. He added, BHP has the capacity to fund development of Oz Minerals' suite of growth projects at a time when a weaker copper price is adding risks for the smaller producer. Morgan Stanley's experts. Now there's an oxymoron if I ever heard one. Took a more neutral approach, saying that while BHP's offer made sense, Oz Minerals investors were likely to weigh the offer against their expectations of the long-term copper price. BHP loves copper, and the synergies, operational and corporate, BHP could gain through its own South Australian operation sets it apart among potential suitors for OZL. OZL wasn't even officially in the marriage market. I don't think they're entertaining suitors at the moment, are they? Analyst Adrian Pendergrast wrote. Dylan Kelly, senior research analyst at Sydney-based brokerage Ord Minnett, highlighted Oz Minerals was one of only a handful of global copper pure play companies. This suggests another party with a more positive view on long-term copper may be willing to pay more than BHP, even if it doesn't have an Aussie presence, he said. Oz Minerals revealed BHP has accumulated an interest of less than 5% in the company via derivative instruments. BHP has not said whether its offer is final. We shall keep an eye on that. The goddess does not like this consolidation that is occurring within our industry. This does not bode well for many, many reasons. The goddess much prefers many, many small companies doing their thing. That's just, a personal preference. What can I say? Oh, and someone did a study. I know this is going to come as a tremendous shock to you. So I do hope you're sitting down. Green energy development is affected by the rises in oil and metals prices. Well, congratulations, Captain Obvious. The goddess has to wonder how much someone got paid to prove a known fact. The goddess thinks perhaps we should all be in the business of doing studies on known facts and common sense, since they are probably very profitable. At least they seem to be. It should be noted that the metals markets are being a little bit odd given the current state of the economy. At the moment, gold closed at $1,785.90 and silver closed at $20.64. My. That is a little underwhelming. And as usual, Kitco, a company that prides themselves on being the spot to go for news about gold, is busy talking about crypto again. Somehow the goddess is unsurprised by this. Everyone is talking about crypto again. When it comes to crypto, we have a few interesting things of note here. U.S. Treasury sanctions popular crypto mixing service Tornado Cash. The U.S. Treasury Department announced new sanctions on the popular cryptocurrency mixing service Tornado Cash on Monday. effectively banning U.S. citizens from using the service. Really. Along with sanctions, the Office of Foreign Asset Control added more than 40 USD coin and Ether addresses that are connected with the service to its list of specially designated nationals, meaning their assets are blocked and U.S. persons are generally prohibited from dealing with them. This development provides further evidence the government is taking a more active role in attempting to regulate the volatile asset class as its prominence on the global financial stage continues to rise. According to a statement released by the Treasury Department, the use of the service by multiple individuals and groups has resulted in more than $7 billion worth of cryptos being laundered since 2019. The goddess is totally unsurprised and thinks that number is probably on the low side. The total includes more than $455 million that has been stolen by North Korea-affiliated Lazarus Group, as well as the recent Wormhole and Horizon Bridge exploits that resulted in losses of $375 million and $100 million, respectively. Amazing how these things go poof at such convenient times. New sanctions come as the crypto ecosystem has seen an uptake in the use of mixing services, which allow users to hide the transaction history of certain cryptos by pooling and mixing them with other users' funds. This was not the first attempt by regulators to work with Tornado Cash in establishing proper controls to help limit money laundering activities. The goddess has to wonder whether the Treasury is worried about money laundering activities or whether the Treasury is just annoyed because the IRS is not getting their share of the laundered money. I mean, that is just so cynical, but one does have to wonder at this point. According to a July report by the blockchain data intelligence firm Chain Analysis, the 30-day moving average of all value received by mixers hit an all-time high of almost 52 million on April 19th, roughly double the volume seen during the same period in 2021. Despite public assurance otherwise, Tornado Cash has repeatedly failed to impose effective controls designed to stop it from laundering funds for malicious cyber actors on a regular basis and without basic measures to address its risks. According to Brian Nelson, Undersecretary of the Treasury for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, Treasury will continue to aggressively pursue actions against mixers that launder virtual currency for criminals and those who assist them. Monday's announcement marks the second action taken against a mixing service by the Treasury Department after taking similar steps against Blender.io back in May. And according to one senior official, it will not be the last. Well, once again, we are seeing what happens when you have an overly zealous government that regulates every moment of your waking life. It is human nature to try to find a way around said regulations because life gets very difficult when every time you turn around you're breaking a law and you never know when somebody's going to show up and call you on the issue. Now, mind you, the goddess does not approve of criminal activities in general. The goddess does, however, approve of decentralized finances in the form of sound money, silver and gold. The goddess does approve of privacy in financial transactions. And yes, to some extent, the goddess even believes that criminals, if they're out there earning money doing criminal things, should have the same basic expectation of privacy in their criminal financial transactions that any other reasonable person has in their non-criminal financial transactions. Of course, the goddess also believes that we would have far fewer criminals if when they were caught, they were tried, shot, and jailed. Or, well, not necessarily in that order. If you make it extraordinarily risky to be a criminal and the penalty for really, really bad behavior happens to be becoming dead, people tend to not do it as much. This is why the goddess is not attempting to take over the world. People would not like my rules. They really wouldn't. Just saying. And we have an interesting naysaying article from our folks over there at Kitco concerning gold. What else is new? Risk of significant reversal in gold price rally as inflation report looms, says TD Securities. I wonder how closely they're tied to our dear friends at JP Morgan and Bank of America. I wonder how much they make from manipulation. The strong employment record, we'll get into that, proved that the U.S. economy is still expanding. No, it didn't. Despite 2 consecutive negative quarterly GDP releases. And for gold, this means the price rally could be at risk, according to TD Securities. In reaction to the U.S. economy adding 528 jobs in July, gold lost 1% on Friday. The July report more than doubled economists' expectations of an additional 250,000 jobs. On Monday, gold staged a recovery, with December COMEX gold futures rising back to 1,793, up 0.7% on the day. Friday's sell-off was led by a shift in sentiment that markets were premature to price in a Federal Reserve pivot from the aggressive tightening cycle. The goddess should have taken more medication to counter the doublespeak going on here. This is just ridiculous, said TD Securities head of commodity strategy, Bart Millick. The 528,000 increase in payrolls, unemployment dropped to just 3.5%, and the outsized 5.2% year-over-year jump in earnings growth in all suggests the U.S. economy is expanding, despite the 2 consecutive negative quarterly GDP prints, Millick said Friday. This, along with service sector robustness, and given the U.S. consumer has larger than normal holdings of cash in checking accounts and money market funds, which sit at around $3 trillion, all suggest there are plenty of inflationary pressures in the system. This week, attention will be on the July inflation report out of the U.S., with economists projecting the annual inflation rate to come in at 8.7%. Remember that number this coming week, after rising to 9.1% in June. Yeah. According to Millick, inflation will continue to be stubbornly high, and the metric to watch could be the core inflation number, which excludes the food and energy sectors. Really? Core CPI may continue to increase even as lower energy prices drive down the headline level, he said. The U.S. July CPI data next week, particularly the core, will be the one to watch, as any hint of stubborn inflation pressures in the system should help to debunk the early pivot argument. Economist consensus calls expect the annual core inflation number to accelerate to 6.1% after coming in at 5.9% in June. Really? For gold, this could mean a significant reversal of the move that took prices from below $1,700 to nearly $1,800, Millick pointed out, citing reduced exposure to the precious metal. There is a high probability that the recent rally, which took prices from a July low of $1,681 an ounce to a high near $1,795 an ounce, will be largely reversed as money managers reduce recently acquired long exposure, he said. The combination of hawkish statements from Fed officials and stronger than expected data are likely catalysts which can trigger additional selling in the days and weeks ahead. Well, if they're right and there actually is a dip in the price, it's time for all of us to back up the trucks, isn't it? Last week's hawkish Fed speakers pushed back against the idea of the U.S. central bank pivoting from rate hikes. Chicago Fed President Charles Evans said the U.S. central bank would likely keep using oversized rate hikes until it sees inflation coming down. If you really thought things weren't improving, 50 basis points is a reasonable assessment, but 75 could also be okay. I doubt more would be called for.
Well, then we can
Oh,
just
he
go back
doubts
to
more
the-
would be called for. San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly stated inflation is still a problem. The Fed has a long way to go before it reaches price stability goals, Daly said during an interview on LinkedIn. We're still resolute and completely united, she said. St. Louis Federal Reserve President James Bullard also noted we still have some ways to go here to get to a restrictive monetary policy. What a master of understatement. On top of that, Richmond Federal Reserve President Thomas Barkin admitted the Fed is willing to pay the price for getting inflation under control.
Yeah, I think it's.
The Fed is willing to pay the price. There is a path to getting inflation under control, but a recession could happen in the process. If one does, we need to keep it in perspective. No one canceled the business cycle, he said. Oh, really?
I mean, I will suck up the $300.
So let's review the bidding here. We need to watch the core CPI number. The one that does not include the food sector, which is going parabolic and logarithmic and vertical because we're facing a global food shortage, or the energy sector, which is actually showing very, very bad fundamentals despite gas prices coming down slightly lower. Oh, for those who have forgotten, gas prices haven't really dropped like 50 or 60 cents. They're still $2 a gallon above where they were last year in most places. But, you know, that's just one of those pesky little details that everybody is supposed to forget here. Meanwhile, well, let's see. Our dearly beloved government has just passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is, by the way, the goddess has lightly perused these several thousand pages of the thing. It is truly a stunning example of government soaring rhetorical bullshit and doublespeak. And it's really, really, really not good. The goddess is highly displeased by this. I mean, we're already being taxed to death with inflation, and all of us are about to be taxed more. So life is not going to be fun in that regard. It should also be noted that Jim Cramer is out and about telling everyone that now is the best possible time to buy gold. And if anyone is familiar with Jim Cramer, they know that whenever he endorses something, it's basically the kiss of death. So these people are so frightened of gold and silver actually getting to some sort of price discovery that they sicked Jim Cramer on us. I mean, that in itself is just scary. You know, just saying, that's scary. The same people that are saying out one side of their mouth that gold is going to drop because of the Fed's hawkish fight against inflation are still predicting that gold will top 2,000 to 2,500 by the end of the year. One has to wonder about that. Just saying. Watch your supermarkets. Turn that pretty little fiat with the pictures of dead people on it into gold and silver. And every time the price drops, back up the truck and buy a little more. Bye.
That's the most exhausting part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, Lars sent these to Southern California.
And
Yeah.
it was my idea to give away 2 ounces this week instead of 1. Hello.
She's trying to buy favor, literally.
Hey.
Okay, let's see. What I'm going to do here,
All right.
I'm going to take a timer.
Uh-oh, he's pulling up the high-tech stuff there.
Okay.
Better watch out.
I am now setting a timer.
For how long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Everyone gets to put in their guesses
Their
as to what the number is going to be to win the beautiful 1 ounce silver rounds. So start typing it in. We got yours already. 61, Jeff Bybee.
With pie.
Tricky says 47.
47.
Rock says 22. David Villa, 49. Chris, of course, is 42. Blindsight is 56. John wants 69. Kodak. Paul, 64. Paul Coover.
What was Paul?
Paul Coover,
64.
64.
All right.
Mr. Virtue, 57. Lauren Beto, 27. Mr. Lodak, 59. The excitement builds. Trevor Else, 71. Yeah, we can always dream, Kodak.
It was 56.
It was between 1 and 99, inclusive.
BC Gold.
BC Gold is 33. We should probably get a 10-sided dice to make this as random as possible. Where would you get one of those, I wonder?
Dungeons and Dragons dice at the game store.
There's a game store right up the street here, isn't there? A D&D sort of guy. Yeah, we can get a 10-sided dice. If we're going to keep doing this, it would be great. Okay, let's see. So we got about 3 minutes left on the timer. Anyone else who still wants to put in a number between 1 and 99, we are going to... Gee, a 100-sided die? Wow, that must be big. CB Fox, 99. And I'm going to be flipping a coin 10 times for the first digit, 10 times for the second digit. So if anyone wants to change their number now, we'll have a little bit of time to do that. Do you see any duplicates anywhere?
No, I don't. So far, no.
Man,
I need to know who 56 was behind Chris Georgie.
56.
I missed that one.
That would be Blindsight.
Hindsight. Okay.
Rock Butcher, 55. Rock, you already had one, so
22.
change that to 55.
All right.
Okay.
And that
RTE
also
592,
gathered
you're too
outside
late on that one.
Mar-a-Lago.
Pick another one. Rock just beat you by one comment.
Trump supporters are now gathering outside Mar-a-Lago to protest the FBI raid.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, 57 for RTE 592. Mr. Virtue says 57 still. Who's Mr. Virtue? Yeah, Mr. Virtue 57. Got it. Okay. That's correct. Mr. Virtue's already had 57 RTE 597. Then you're going to have to change it again. Yeah, Mr. Virtue beat you to that one. Thank you, Mr. Virtue. Boy, RTE is just
Having a hard time.
yeah. Probably late. Let's see. What do we got in the 50s? 56 is taken. 55 is taken. 57 is taken. 59 is taken.
Yeah.
So,
People who understand the odds.
It's
of one toss.
63.
63. Do we have a
Yeah,
63?
Joe's got 63.
Joe's got 63. Okay, we're going to keep working on RTE right here. So
One more time.
let's try it again, RT.
Lucky 13.
Time's up for any newbies. 17.
That'll work.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll work, but it's definitely
That'll
there.
work.
Okay, so now we have our guest here today.
Good Joanne.
Okay. Let it go. What is it?
Heads.
Heads. Okay. Over here where I can verify your number. Okay, so we got one head. We're going to be adding up the number of heads for the first digit.
Head.
And another head. I agree. So we got 2.
Tail.
Tail.
Head.
Head.
That's 4, right?
Something like that. Just let it go.
Head.
Head. Okay, Doug. We'll see.
yeah.
No, I don't know. We already got a 55, don't we?
Yep, Rock Butcher's got
Rock's already got
55.
that.
Well,
Head.
give me another number, Doug.
6.
There's heads again.
Heads again. Just flip it on the ground.
Tail. Tail.
Tails.
So that's 6 and 2.
That should be the last one, right?
No, 7.
Blind Sight's got 56. Give me another
Yeah.
number, Doug.
That's 7.
Okay.
7 and 2. One more.
Heads.
Heads.
So we got
That's
6 and 2.
Okay.
Okay, so we need 2 more.
Tail.
Tails.
I'm going to put Doug in 54. That works.
Another tail.
Another tail.
Okay, one more to go here.
Tail.
Tails. Okay. So our first digit is 6. Okay. So first draw, first digit is a 6. Go ahead.
Head.
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 So it's not going over, right?
Pardon?
You can't go over, right?
No.
Okay. So what's the closest to?
Closest without going over is the thing.
Head.
Another head. You're good at this. And I'm watching him flick it and look, it bounces off the floor. Oh, he caught that one, huh?
Head.
And another head. Just let it hit the floor.
Head.
And another head.
Whoa.
Man,
That's wild.
this guy's amazing.
He's like me.
Yeah, I once saw Eva
Another head.
flip like 40 in a
Really?
row. Another head.
Yeah. No, it's
Tail.
it's honest, John.
It's a tail. Yeah, he's just flipping it. It's landing on the floor.
2 more.
2 more. Tail.
Tail. I got bad eyes.
Tail.
So,
And tails. So the first drawing is 67.
That's what I was going to choose to begin with.
Okay, Joe is 63. There's a 67. There's a 64. Does anyone see anything better than 64 without
No.
going over? No. So Paul Coover. Paul Coover,
Yeah.
you get the first one. Now we have a
Choice.
good luck silver piece, which has a lucky horseshoe and a shamrock on it, or a buffalo silver,
1 ounce.
both 1 ounce. So, Paul, which one do you want? And then we will flip for the next one.
I don't think the next one being the second guy up.
No.
Well, I'm not flipping.
Okay, I can do this hitting the floor.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Either. Okay, we'll let the other guy win and then see if they have a preference. Okay? You're
All right.
no preference? Okay, so we're ready to draw for the second one.
Paul, email Hard Rock University
Yeah.
with your address and stuff.
Yeah.
Head.
All right.
Tail.
Tails.
Tail.
Tails.
Head.
Head.
Ooh.
Head.
Head. I'm independently verified.
So how many more do I gotta go? 5? I'm at 5.
Yeah,
4 more.
you're halfway there. Whoa, where is it?
Well, we gotta redo that one. That one's behind the flipper.
Yeah, I was
Here?
Right there. Yep. Oh, it's a head.
It is a head.
Tail.
Tails.
How many more do I need?
That's 7.
3 more.
Head.
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 1 more.
Head.
Head. So the first digit is 7.
No, 6.
7.
7. He counted 7. Okay.
All right.
So he can't. Oh, 69 is ahead of me. God damn. Okay, so I'm out of this. That's a tail.
Tails.
Head.
Head.
3. Head.
Head.
4. Tail.
Okay. 2 and 2.
Tail.
5. Head. Head.
Head.
Tail.
Tail.
3 and 3.
Head.
Head.
Tail.
Tail.
How many more do I need?
2. That's 4 and 4 right there.
Head.
Head.
Tail. 75.
Tail. Okay, so we're 75.
69.
$69.
45.
Anything
Yes.
closer than
No.
that? Okay, Kodak, John, you're a winner.
Yep.
Which one do you want? The other guy has no preference. Trevor was 71. What Trevor?
Trevor Hills.
Oh, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
71.
We are mistaken.
Okay, sorry, John. It's Trevor
Yeah,
Else.
boy, that wasn't fair, huh?
That's 71.
Yep.
Well, if you'd write clearer. Anyhow, okay. Trevor Else.
Well, we all looked at it and didn't see it. These guys are paying attention. Yeah.
Chris must have been writing stuff that. Okay, so Trevor, which of the coins do you want? The Lucky Shamrock and Horseshoe or the Buffalo Head Nickel one?
Oh, gosh.
Hello, Trevor.
See there? Yeah.
Trevor. Trevor. Oh. Let's see. Okay. And there's my email. So send me a address you want me to send it to. We've got Paul Coover and then Trevor Else.
Gotta get in touch with Trevor.
Come on, Trevor.
If you don't get back to you here
You gotta-
shortly,
You got to contact
Yeah.
me here.
going to John.
You were here just minutes ago. I mean, might have had to go to the bathroom or something. How long do you think we should give him before we?
I suppose give him a little while.
I don't know. Let's see. The other thing is we could give him to the end of the thing tonight, and then if he doesn't show up, we can hold another one next week. For the other one. That'll give him the rest of the.
Hey, he might have gone to eat or something.
I don't
He
know.
might have. You never know.
Gosh, you'd think
I
it-
guess I would give him.
he put in his
give him tonight,
number.
and if you don't hear from him, then
Yeah, let's
default to John. Maybe.
let's give him the rest of the evening
We
to
kinda-
get back, for whatever reason. And then if we don't hear from him by the end of tonight, even if he shows up next week, that's too late. Once we close out tonight, then that'll be it for Trevor. So Trevor, if you're out there,
Yeah.
hopefully he'll check back in. So we're currently in limbo because we've got one person who
You
doesn't care which one he gets, and the other person who won doesn't exist apparently at the moment. So we're waiting for the space-time continuum to regurgitate him onto the internet so that we can determine what's going on here. So let's see. What's going on with your stuff?
Joe's been helping me move equipment and things, and then we were looking at a little construction project to finish out the fall season here, I think. So,
Okay. And
otherwise, not a lot.
have your
Looking at properties, I've been out over the last month hunting for some more possible placer properties.
I think Lauren has a bunch of stuff lined up too.
Yeah.
If you need something to do,
Oh yeah,
you
no,
could
we
ask
already have
him.
been talking to him. I actually want him to dig some footings for us here, and maybe work on some of this other stuff we're doing. So,
Okay.
He doesn't have time for digging. Yes, we have footings.
yeah.
Anyhow, and where's your nuggets? Yeah, we don't have nuggets. We have beads. It's hard rock. We don't do nuggets.
It's
We
been
do
a
beads.
really odd summer here, considering all the rain and cool in June,
Yeah.
and snow in June, and then go to this 100-degree weather here.
It's It's climate change.
Well,
So change
and,
just like
I mean,
that.
actually, the nicest weather we kind of had is when I was up with with the guys doing the TV show and stuff. That was the nicest little chance of weather we kind of had prior to this heat.
Yeah.
And
Show and tell, huh?
that chewed up a few days. Oh, John's begging to see gold, is what he's begging to see.
This stuff here is actually kind of resilient. When you're trying to chisel this, it doesn't want to break. The chisel just works its way into it.
Pulverizes it as it goes.
Just pulverizes its way in.
Limonite and what is it?
Mainly limonite and some hematite, but
Iron.
the technical term for this is goethite.
Okay.
And that means essentially oxidized iron pyrite because it's a mixture of different minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more silicified hematite. Feel how light that is.
I did. Eva handed it to me earlier.
Yeah.
It's just
That's porous.
Yep, real porous.
Yeah. And then here is where it's, so there's some what I call red kryptonite there. That's quartz, and you can see it's got that red color in it. And this is some pretty, see the sharp edges? It's pretty hard. In some cases, ground movement and stuff is pre-fractured it enough where it's pretty easy to dig. In other cases, you find it in the vein itself. You'll find just chunks of this surrounded by this. You know, and it can be anything from big chunks to just little veinlets in there. And the veinlets are a real pain because it's trying hard to get that chisel point to grab a hold of something that big.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very, very annoying. Run a couple slabs of that off and polish them up.
Yeah, it'd actually be fairly pretty.
Should.
It probably would be because it's actually fairly pretty looking at that big chunk of that sharp stuff you had there.
Yeah, this stuff here.
Yeah, I think that would actually polish up pretty interestingly with this color variation in it.
Little porous,
yeah.
Which some, is
some
not good for
clean.
Look at the color right there, though. There's a lot of different colors right there. I don't know if we can get them to show.
The specs maybe
on camera.
It probably would polish up real pretty.
So, anyhow, it's a little bit of a mess, but it's a pretty consistent vein overall in terms of it's in a nice vertical fracture. Okay.
Yep, there you go. That'll work.
How big a chunk? I've got a big chunk of red kryptonite downstairs.
Big one you can cut.
That big rock down at the bottom of the steps.
You can caboose on it a little bit and see what comes out. And that'll polish it. Just cutting it'll polish it somewhat with enough water.
Yeah.
That would make a nice stone to cut if you could cut it. It's pretty.
It'll wear your diamonds out pretty quick. I'll tell you that. Are you talking just your normal wet diamond tile saw?
Yeah.
I'll try and
could cut that one right
try
there.
and remind me tomorrow to look for something in about the 6-inch class, little one, because I'll be crushing up that stuff tomorrow.
Okay. And
there was one particular chunk of red kryptonite that I really liked. They're a little big, but we'll see. You can always just break it a little if we need to get something smaller to fit in the saw.
Yeah, carve it up a little.
You have anything to polish it up there, Lauren? That'd be interesting.
Well, the saw will polish it some right there.
Yeah, you can spray water on it and get a good idea. But anyhow, this stuff is amazingly tough simply because it just absorbs the impact. You know, it doesn't want to fracture. See how light that is.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's lighter than styrofoam.
Yeah, that's like pumice.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard
So-
to say that's a rock.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea, Chris.
No, that is a good idea, Chris. Just
Slap.
more to do.
Yes.
And.
Red kryptonite could be the next gold in quartz high dollar jewelry. You're not going to see the gold in it. Or at least we haven't seen anything yet where there was any visible gold. This stuff is super duper small. I got to get some water.
Well, that's always a good idea to have, good specimens with your samples. If you're going to crush samples, keep one rock of the rock type with that pulverized sample.
You know what would be even better? Take a small chunk of the rock, slab, just cut through it.
Yeah.
Polish that and leave the rest as it is.
Right. So you have kind of a
You
reference.
got both.
You got both sides of that library book.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
Yep. I like. So
you can all run out and buy diamond tile cutting saws.
Oh, by the way, Chris, that yellow rock that looked kind of clay-like and everything that was right next to the vein, it assayed at 0.05. Okay. So it didn't show much in the way of fine gold. If there's coarse gold in it, I don't know. I crushed it and put it under the RC46 to give me a good pad. Had to get rid of it somehow, and it's easier to get rid of gravel.
Yeah.
An RC46 without the rolls crushers engaged has got power. Stuff like this,
Where it gets real hard.
you know how hard that is to crush, right?
Now,
Yeah, well, I can get a chunk like that, jam it in there, and it'll break it. No problem.
Probably more pressure within the rock or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of power. Without those jaws taking any power off of that thing,
Right.
man. Oh, come on, Lars. Southern California, dude. You know? No, so that yellow stuff's going into the waste pile now. Believe me, the other stuff is not that low a grade. But not sure how high grade, nor are we sure of the recoveries yet, because we're waiting back for lab samples. And supposedly Alpine Analytical will have our solution samples tomorrow. So at least we'll finally have some
Cross-reference.
This is the ore that went in, and this is the solution that came out stuff. Oh, I bet you would,
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we had a whole mountain of it. Hello, Ricky. How's it going?
Go, Ricky.
Man, Chris, it's like you're talking tools and stuff, man. Oh,
Like there isn't enough to do already.
well, as I was saying sometime back a ways, I think Eva might be a good mineralogist because she seems to have that nitpicky OCD sort of thing where it's like, check the boxes and this and that. That's what a lot of mineralogy is. You're saying, okay, it has this characteristic and that characteristic and that this hardness and that fracture and this cleavage, and all this sort of stuff. And then you compile that into a picture and say what it is.
Yep. You start to figure it out.
Yeah. And so I think she might be pretty good at that. Me, I like to bust rock. I'm a gopher. I mean, it's just kind of my
I like to
proclivity.
dig rock. I like to look at the placement of how everything, especially in the
He
placers.
busted a pack rat nest this week.
Well, yeah, rock, but then I'd get to use it under her supervision, of course. Well, if you want to give those to her, that would be fine, Chris. But anyhow, I don't know. We could probably set it up over at Lauren's. He probably wouldn't mind having a place to put it, so if he got to use it when we weren't.
You hunt for that equipment. It does exist. So.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a guy. Yeah, he was from Southern Europe. I forget which country there. But anyhow, they were looking at a project in Guinea.
Yeah.
And I was helping him on that. I don't know if you remember that.
I kind of do.
Yeah, he was planning on buying me a microscope to compensate me for all the work I'd done. And then they had like a sudden change of government there. I don't even know if he got out of there in one piece.
Crap.
Andras. Yeah. And so I say, hopefully everything worked out well. But yeah, I almost got a good one. Chris looked it up online. He said this would work. It was about $1,000.
Yeah.
It would take pictures and all that other neat stuff.
Yeah.
And that was good. By the way, if Trevor Else is back, you won a coin, but you need to check in before end of show tonight, or else it's going to be raffled off drawn. We'll have a drawing next week.
I thought we were going to give it to the runner-up.
I would. I'd give it to John because we kind of got his hopes up there for a moment.
Okay.
I think I'd just
let's have a quick vote here. I kind of like that idea. John, I think we'll go for this one. If Trevor does not call in by the end of the segment, then John, you win it. How does that sound? Anyone got a problem with that? Does that sound good to everybody? Okay, Rock says he likes that idea.
I think that's a fair way to do it.
I like it. It's fine. And how about what's your name again?
Joe.
Joe? I'm terrible with names. Of course, my brain's turning into a Swiss cheese anyhow.
Yeah, I'll agree, Lauren.
Yep. Okay. Looks like everyone's agreeable to that. So, if Trevor Else does not show up before end of show, it's yours, John. You've got my...
It looks unanimous pretty much. So.
Yeah. And you've got my email, don't you? Or do I need to put that on screen? And Paul Coover, are you still here, Paul? And did you get my email? Okay.
Everybody wants a microscope.
Yeah, me too. Is it recipe for sodium citrate?
Oh, he pulled it back there or something happened.
I think he exceeded the, there's only so many characters. Even I'm like limited like that. Got him tied up underneath. Oh. David's been taking lessons from me. But Paul Coover, are you still out there? Yeah, okay. Do you have my email? If not, I will put it up again. Did you get it?
We'll check, Paul. We didn't look even.
Let's see. I think I left my email up. Yep, there it is. Renew. Yep. I've got it, Paul.
So.
All righty.
I'll make sure he gets it in the mail tomorrow.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Let's go raid Donald Trump's refrigerator. Sorry, it's already been taken.
They already got their bars.
And Paul, any preference on which one? You clearly got preference right now.
Yeah.
The lucky one or the Indian head one? Yep. Yeah, Rock, I beat you to it. Yep. Nice try, David. You got 2 aliases, huh? Smart man. Indian Head,
Yeah,
you've
that's
got
right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
Paul's name on that one. Piece of tape and a pen. Huh?
oh, it's got a clear plastic thingy, see?
Oh, all right.
And if he doesn't like that on the thing, he can just take a little bit of organic solvent and wipe it right off. There you go, Paul.
You got it.
We'll get
Smart.
that out there tomorrow. So, right now, I think the milling part is pretty much routine. We are going to have to pull apart the Stutenroth and put hard facing on the rotor, or it wears too much.
Showing somewhere, or do you know?
A little.
You know.
I'm sure the tips have worn back to the back edge at this point. I mean, to where there's not some of the end original surface still there. The wear bars, when I took it apart before, I mean, to see how much wears on, you had to look down the edge to see the slight little divot where the wear started.
Oh, good.
So that's pretty good. Now you're welcome, Dave. I thought we'd try and stretch it out a little bit and make it fun. And
You did that.
that's a good night, Rock.
Good night, Rock. Everybody hung in there for the whole thing. So
Okay, Rock, I'm subscribed. That sounds technical, Chris. But anyhow, so that's about it. I got to put air snorkels on the gas engines out there. Late 60s. There were some that were 40% silver, John.
yeah, pay attention. To
So
that.
there was like 6 months or something. What was the dates on those
The
Kennedys?
Kennedys from 65 to 69 are 40% silver.
From 65 to 69 or 40% silver.
All halves, dimes, and quarters before 64 are 90% silver. The exception to this is war nickels, the ones with the large S proof mark on the back, mint mark on the back. During World War II, from 1942 to 44, are 35% silver. And some Eisenhower dollars are 40% silver.
I'm sure Chris got the message there, Tricky. So I probably did too. Are quarters worth more as copper yet? I don't know.
Not at the moment. Nickels are still worth more than a nickel, and pre-82 pennies are worth more than a penny.
Okay. So I think the mill part is just work at this point, I suspect. Eva's got a lot to do in the lab. Once we get the final procedure done, figured out, it won't be too bad. And then we'll be able to do stuff. Just assaying the resin for now produces a significant amount of gold. Not a lot, but I mean, in the matter of grams per week.
Yeah.
You know. And we're about out of litharge. Remind me about the litharge tomorrow, Lauren. I'm going to get some litharge from him, some coarse litharge.
Yeah.
And then we're going to order in a bag and split it on the fine litharge. You know, it's a little bit better for certain kinds of assaying. The coarse litharge, you have less dust.
Yeah.
but it's like, I don't know, 10 mesh or something, 8 mesh. Mining. I think we had fun this weekend. Not sure about next weekend because of the heat.
Yeah, they're saying warmer
The temperatures
this week.
made it kind of pleasant. I was actually enjoying it, and I was pretty comfortable. Even at riding herd on that Bosch for a couple of days, I was still feeling pretty good.
Good.
At the end of the thing.
Good.
That heat is just really, really annoying. Yeah, Paul, that's what we're trying to minimize here, and we're seeing what we can do. I suspect we will find a way to make it happen.
All right.
If nothing else, we can scrub the exhaust. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, we haven't had a lot tonight, guys. Short of the fun.
Yeah, last weekend it was like finally at the end.
Yeah, well, it seems like that happens. The end of the night, everybody starts asking.
Oh, that's a good question.
That could have been the show.
Yeah, that would have taken us half an hour to just start answering there.
Yeah. Hopefully you're all getting out in the field and having a little fun, though. So.
Kodak's probably sitting there. End it.
Yeah, well, I may slip out of here pretty soon here. So
yeah,
Joe's packing over there already.
This is what we do Monday nights.
Yep, this is our Monday night. It's fun, especially in the winter when we can't be in the field.
Yeah, that helps.
Just being out in the heat all day and then getting back and then running and driving and
dehydration.
Yeah.
It seems to me.
Fishing. I haven't been fishing.
You haven't been fishing in months.
Joe was fishing. I haven't been fishing.
Tricky says aluminum foil seems to collect the gold vapors better than stainless steel. Would make sense. It's reactive. Wonder how well that would work if you put it in the cupel. Be another reducing agent.
In aluminum foil? Well, that's what I was just wondering.
I mean, not cupel, the crucible.
Colorado Gold Camp the other night was smelting gold down, just setting it into graphite molds.
Yeah.
And melting it down. And my first thought was the losses, if he wasn't careful, could be substantial percentage-wise.
Well, actually,
if you've got enough pure good gold, it probably wouldn't be much loss. But he did some jewelry and stuff, and I thought he probably lost more gold than he gained doing it.
quite possibly.
I don't know. What?
The last week when I melted the gold beads into a little mini bar,
Yeah.
I actually did it that way. I took all the gold beads from
Did
the
you weigh
assay
each
and
of them?
I put-
Each
yeah,
of them
I
individually,
had the
and then
total weight,
okay,
and
how much did you lose by smelting down?
by melting it
Right.
into a bar in the graphite mold, it lost 0.01 grams.
Oh, so you're not too bad.
Out of almost 6.
Yeah, not bad then.
Yeah.
Because you'll always have impurities. I don't care how pure the gold even is. You'll always get, every time you smelt it, you'll take out one more impurity level.
Activated carbon inside your kiln. We could put that in a scrubber too. I don't know how well would the activated carbon last inside the kiln.
Probably
Because the
a
carbon
while.
crucible does okay.
Yeah, it'll probably last for quite a while. So it'll mop it up.
It'll also form carbon monoxide. Oh well, we'll get better ventilation first then. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah. Just change the fan and then just keep changing stuff.
an aluminum crucible. Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah.
Aluminum oxide would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want to make a puddle in there.
I think they use aluminum oxide for cupels, don't they?
Probably for something.
The only two bells I know about are Portland cement and bone ash. Straight bone ash, straight Portland cement, and magnesia, which is magnesium oxide.
Okay, Jeff has a question for you, Mr. Placer Dude.
Gold particles fall. Second. This might be more in Chris's line of science than it is mine. But
Gonna fail, huh?
the VMAT or anything like that is still going to interrupt your laminar flow unless your depths are decent.
Sure, Tricky.
And really, Jeff, what your slick plate is doing is giving the concentration of material time to start to segregate before it runs into turbulence. So I don't know that really answers your question completely, but always having some slick plate sections in your system, especially with any kind of length in a sluice box, can help you get better separation of the slurry.
Yeah, I can reconfigure mine before tomorrow, as I haven't put it back together. Let's see. Do I have anything for riffles?
Well, and Chris just added to that too, which definitely, you're to put a specific settling rate on it isn't necessarily true because it depends on the material you're running, size of material, how much separation is even possible, the amount of clay, because the thicker the viscosity of that material gets, the harder it is to start to get separation, even with various particle sizes. Viscosity starts to really play into that.
Yeah.
No, the ideally up in the front of a box, Paul, if you can have a section, even if it's only 10 inches long of slick plate to let that material start to segregate itself before it starts through a riffles and a slick run on top.
I'm thinking
Chris answered it better than I can put it in words, I guess.
Not worry about the riffles tomorrow. I'll narrow it up a little bit. That's simple, just changing the width of the the configuration of the tie down, hold down lath. I don't know. I can throw a couple in there. Here's what I'm going to say is going to happen, Chris. I'll get the smallest riffles I can find out there. And it may be 3/4 inch high by 1.5 inch wide, 1x2. But I will be willing to bet you what's going to happen is there's going to be a sandbar that builds up right behind those riffles. Because even with no riffles, as it comes out of that pipe, hits the bottom and then bounces up a little bit, that completely silted up the entire thing. As soon as that flow dropped,
Yeah, you can do that. Chris has a point there. You can run something on top so that you don't, when it does that, it doesn't throw it. It flattens it. That'll knock gold out of the system really fast sometimes too. Just the simplicity of a mud flap.
We'll give it a shot. I'll put one riffle up near the top and see what happens. Because as I say, it's not an ideal system at all. We've got way too many solids to liquids in the initial surge. Try 3. Okay, Chris, you want to help her with the heating element while I dump the tank? And then we can kind of work together on crushing the ore? Got a lot to do tomorrow. I can sluice every week. But right now, as usual, and
Yeah, never ends.
yeah. I say I've only got to pulverize 1,500 pounds of rock tomorrow. I got to crush at least 500 pounds, maybe more than that, just to get enough to get the 1,500 pounds through there, considering the stockpile we have. I got to make a new heating element for the kiln and install it. There's an hour out of the day. And well, first we have to do some other work here that we can't leave until noon, roughly. So, I say it just gets okay. Do I want to get rock in the tank or not? If there's no rock in the tank, it ain't dissolving.
Nope.
Nope.
You got to keep feeding the system and keep it running.
Yep.
That's the cash machine. It all has to keep working or it doesn't work.
Yeah, production.
Yeah.
David, you're right. I agree completely, but there's nothing to thin it with.
Well, narrowing it'll help some because you'll pick up the flow.
Well, the thing is, I'm sticking my fingers down through. I'm feeling the miner's moss texture.
Okay.
It's not bedding on top of the miner's moss, so it's moving down through there.
Okay.
And so I don't know. I agree. I think it'd be nice to have much lower viscosity.
The only thing you can do then is fill the damn tank with water before you dump it.
Even then,
right out.
The solids go to the bottom.
True.
I'd have to have a big reservoir, a pump, sufficient to pump sufficient volume to kind of equivalate with what's coming out of the tank, and then run that in the other outlet valve. Run it underneath the tank like that, and
a little at a time.
That would thin it. But again, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Is it worth? I don't have any pumps that big. No, Mo. I was never in Tanzania. I was kind of helping a guy out who was, and I was just giving him advice over the internet. So I never left Arizona to help. I forget the gentleman's name, but yeah, I haven't been to Africa at all yet, although I've had several opportunities, several to places that were pretty hazardous. I think I'd rather go to South Central.
Yeah.
When the first thing on the State Department website is see special security recommendations, such and you go there. And first one, make sure you have a current will signed and notarized. Make sure you have a designated hostage negotiator. It's like, perhaps a change of venue is in order. But anyhow, yeah, sorry, Mo, but that's it. Good night, BC.
Yeah, thanks for being here, BC.
Yeah, I understand. I agree that first flush is pretty
aggressive,
pretty heavy and solids. Now, the second one, when I'm rinsing it out, that I think has a reasonable solids to liquid ratio.
Yeah.
And
you got an interesting situation there because you can't control certain things. You can try to, but you know.
Oh yeah, I understand, Mo, but actually, he might have offered me a trip over there too. I got a lot of opportunities.
Lars.
Well, let's see. Yeah, Jello shooters with a high mineral content, especially the arsenic and the lead.
It's gummed up enough without the Jello, Lars.
His girlfriend must have just put strawberry Jello in it.
Apparently, the FBI had squandered with boxes and boxes full of shit without even examining them on the spot.
What do you have for water up there? You could inject water right at the sluice as you're dumping that.
Yeah, I said I'd have
You
to.
have to be
fill
running the well or something, or
Well,
tank, fill
yeah,
another
I've
tank and
got-
feed it with another tank.
I've got barren solution, but then I wouldn't have any barren solution to
Right.
throw in the tank
Right.
afterwards. I can recirculate some, but I don't have the right size pump to do that reasonably, and I would have to throw some out to be, I'd have to
I
have
know,
some
that's
there to
what I
begin
mean. You
with.
keep creating a bigger nightmare for yourself. But anyway.
Yeah, that sandbar was just a one-shot thing where it was at the end of the run when the water pressure was dropping, then it wasn't flowing smoothly. The vast majority of the time, it was flowing nice and smooth. You doing anything tomorrow?
No, actually, we could run up there.
Okay.
That's not too far away.
Okay.
What time are you going to be up there?
I don't know. Call you before we leave. How's that?
Okay, do that.
Alrighty.
We're probably going to be around town here getting things done.
Probably around 1 in the afternoon because I have my rooms to do first.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
That's right,
it'll
it's
be early
Tuesday,
afternoon.
All right.
Yeah.
And he's got a post office to go to in the morning.
Yeah, I got some packing to do. I have to run back to Minnesota here. So all right, Chris.
Oh. Yeah,
We're gonna end here, Joe.
again, this is just testing. This is not productive. As far as I
Yeah.
know, it's a complete and utter financial waste of time. Okay. All indications are at this time there is not sufficient gold to make it worthwhile. It's more just something to keep checking. So if we hit that pocket of coarse gold, exactly, David. We'll know about it. We'll go, okay, this particular batch needs to be treated different,
right.
and we need to look at what we're digging right now.
It's a way of just testing it backwards, just making sure you're not making mistakes.
Yeah, Jeff, it does.
Yeah, winter's coming, Jeff, already.
Paul, you don't want to get oil in that system.
No.
And it's going to cause a lot of problems with the leaching. Again, the gravity gold is this much of that.
Right.
We don't want to mess that to worry about that. Okay. We're getting up till now 100% or more of assay values in recovery.
Let me put it this way. His coarse gold is like my silver. That ore has plenty of silver in it. The stupid Eco Goldex is only picking up about 10% of the silver, and then it's getting kicked out of the resin. So all that beautiful silver that I want is piling up on the leach pad, going nowhere.
Pretty much.
Economics.
Yeah.
They're a thing.
I have such a demure wife, don't I? She's so delicate and such. Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, that's basically okay. We'll try and call you before we head on out.
That sounds good.
And I gotta make
thanks
that.
everybody for being here tonight again. Guys,
Is Trevor here?
nope, he never showed back up.
Let's
so-
see. Let's make a call. Trevor Else. Last call, Trevor. You won. If you do not pick it up, if you don't notify me, then it's going to go to John Kodak there. So, Trevor Else, you have. I have a timer.
All right, guys, I'm going to take off.
You have a 3-minute timer going right now,
Check
Trevor.
Check your email.
Let Keith and Eva finish up the evening here, and I won't be here next Monday night. I won't be back from my little trip yet,
Okay.
but I should be
Okay.
back sometime Monday or Tuesday. So, all right, thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you at the next time I'm here, I guess.
Well, Paul, the problem with that is the gold has to be liberated first. Considering the gold is 2,000 mesh, In order to liberate the gold, we'd have to grind the ore to, 1,000 mesh, which is extremely difficult and expensive. So flotation is not good for this. Also, 2,000 mesh gold behaves a lot differently than 100 mesh gold.
The 2,000 mesh gold is really weird stuff.
Yep.
But I got to do some mining this week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to do some of the sampling on that back wall that we sent away.
No, it's not a back
with
wall,
the little
it's a back.
baby Hilti at the 13-foot level. It was really cool. So, there was that. I do occasionally go down to the mine and actually pretend to do something.
Well, the problem is she's got to be up top running the hoist.
I don't know if that was beer in the cooler that just left Kodak. I know it was something in cans because I have more cans than I did. No, flotation is not happening economically, Chris.
Not on this particular ore. It can be economical on some ores.
Paul, it really was cool. I really liked that baby Hilti. The baby Hilti I enjoy. Now, I did tell Professor Hardrock we should be going that way in the first place. But of course he doesn't listen to me because I'm only
No, because I don't want to dig
everything.
up when I'd have nothing under me but air.
You'd be digging straight and standing on a platform. Sheesh.
Yeah, which means we have to sink stuff in. Again, in the normal mining business, they do stuff like this with explosives and rock bolts.
Lars says after 3 minutes he'll plug Trevor's router back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tricky. I don't know what's up with that. What seems to be happening, okay? The Eco Goldex seems to be picking up initially about 10% of the silver that's in the ore, which is a ridiculously low amount anyway. Then, when everything starts loading into the resin, the silver loads, but it gets kicked off of cartridge 1. And then it likely lands in cartridge 2 and gets kicked off of cartridge 2. So we end up with no silver staying in the resin. So I'm assuming that the silver is just living on the leach pad somewhere because it's not staying in the Eco Goldex. It's not staying in the resin. It isn't going into thin air. So I have no freaking clue where it is. Now I do have a couple of plans here.
Just a second.
But
Kodak, is this you? John in St. Paul, Minnesota?
probably. Say goodnight to the babies, Tricky. Give them lots of hugs and kisses. That's what I'm thinking, Chris. I'm thinking that either the silver needs to be recovered pre or post the gold. And also, I want the chance over the winter to do some pH testing with bottle rolls because he discovered that at certain points in the leach cycle with the Eco Goldex, if the pH is outside of the range, the gold recovery drops like crazy. But we don't know what happens to the recovery of anything else. So it is possible that the Eco Goldex picks up the silver at a significantly different pH than the gold.
Got it, John.
Which would be
I'll see about mailing yours out tomorrow too.
Danged interesting because it would give me a way to actually get the silver out. But in other news, I am indeed recovering some silver. This week I'm getting my silver back out of my silver nitrate. So I at least can pile some silver on the scale and look at it and dream of bigger things, you know. Mm-hmm.
I know gold has some, I think it's repelled from magnets, but if you had a strong electromagnet in the solution, that we're running, it would also be a hydrodynamic situation.
Now, David, I agree. Wearing the white coat may help, but it's my personal belief that in order to get the maximum flow of intuitive science, the goddess still needs her Jacob's ladder and her Van de Graaff generator, which certain people are making sure that I don't get because otherwise I might take over the world or something, or blow the place up,
You get electrocuted.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Jacob's ladder is some serious electricity there.
Yes, and the vibrations in the air will raise my intuitive energies. Come on now, dude. Catch up with the science here.
Kodak,
Trademark
if the
Uncle
prices
Science.
go up, we'll be reworking our dumps. Trust me.
Yeah, if the prices go up, we'll really have fun.
I don't think anything that we're mining is below that 0.05, basically.
Chris, bear in mind, once this furnace is fixed, the extremely carefully rinsed resin that I dried that was in the KD3 is going in the furnace. I will not be in the lab when it is working because somebody told me that shit is probably rocket fuel. And I would prefer not to find out the hard way. The Jacob's Ladder is the thingy that looks like the rabbit ears on your TV and it goes zzz, zzz, zzz. I want one. I mean, you can't have a lab without a Jacob's Ladder and a Van de Graaff generator. So when it starts storming and the lightning hits, I can stand there and yell, "It's alive, I tell you." I mean, that's what science is about. Really now, people, come on now.
On the neighborhood of 50 tons, Jeff.
It's a very nice pad.
I'll say it's
At least he thinks so.
This is a nice test facility. Get everything nailed down, working well, etc. And
yeah, exactly, David.
And then we can
At
see
the
about
laugh, too.
scaling up if the minerals, the resources justify it.
No, I did not, Kodak, but I have heard about it. And David, I do have to work on the maniacal scientific type laugh.
See, it's a man thing. See, now Kamala Harris has got kind of the female version down.
No, she's got the Wicked Witch laugh.
I don't know. I haven't tried that, Paul.
Well, anyway, I'll leave it to him. He can talk to you about mining things.
Oh. So we have a lot of exploration to do yet.
I have experiments. Does that count?
Okay. Garrett, the thing is, the quartz veins are deposited based on what was down below before. If there is gold in the original solutions and you have quartz veins with iron staining, you will probably have gold also. It is perfectly easy to get quartz veins with no gold and no staining. I don't know how likely it is to get quartz with staining but no gold. Now, have you done assays on this? Have you sent it to a lab for assays, or are you just crushing it and panning it? Because I can tell you, if you're just crushing it and panning it, you may not be finding it. Oh, it's a big business, but it's not the normal sort of gold prospector sort of business. KD3 is made with 50% hydrazine, huh?
So it is rocket fuel. Wow, I can finally get rid of that furnace and get one that works.
Tricky says, as long as you don't unintentionally make explosives, the ammonia route might be interesting. It's all this unintentionally making explosives thing, Details.
Well, if I launch the furnace into orbit, can I get a good one?
You can't launch it into orbit, but you could obliterate it.
Would that mean I'd get a good one?
I don't know. B. Horton, absolutely. So does ours. How far away from your current mine hole can you meander to make a test drill? In other words, like a remote type consulting job. Is that what you're talking about, Robert? The gold you cannot see in the hard rock is in very, very fine particles, say like 2000 mesh. It is in solution after we contact it with a solution that dissolves gold. Because it is very fine, it dissolves very well. So we have a solution that's called Eco Gold X that we use to dissolve the gold, but it is not dissolved in the rock. As a matter of fact, let me get a photomicrograph here. And let's see, this particular particle is about 50 microns across. Okay. So in this picture here, that iron particle, this whole particle here, is about, I think it was 250 mesh, 270 mesh. And those gold particles in the iron particle are actual solid gold particles. But they're not in solution. They're just real fine. Imagine, those are like 1,000 mesh or smaller. Some of those down to a couple thousand mesh. No ore has gold in solution. I don't think so. There may be ore that has gold in a soluble compound, but I'm not aware of it. Yeah, a metal detector is not going to work on hard rock gold in general. The gold that you can find with a metal detector is more like the size of the head of a pin, maybe a little smaller, and this is 100 times smaller than that. So a metal detector is not going to show it up. You need to do a laboratory assay to be sure it will find gold of that size. You can also crush it and hand pan it using my technique, hand panning microfine gold. And if you have gold in the coarser range of hard rock gold, 500 mesh and up, then you can collect some of those particles. You'll still be missing a lot, but at least you'll be able to see it. But the way you do it is you do a fire assay. A metal detector is about the worst way to find hard rock gold because very, very little of it will do that. It has to be very rich. Yeah. Kodak, the gold was in solution before it became ore. As it precipitated out of the solution with other stuff, that's what made the ore. Sounds good to me, Chris. Not much right now, Roberts, although we have some very good places to test. And it's a matter of time. It's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to mine ore and mill ore, or do you want to do something else? So that's where, you got to make these trade-offs. Right now, the priority is on mining and milling and getting ore and resin. And parallel with that is finding a way to get it out of the resin at maximum efficiency. As you'll notice, Tricky and Chris here are talking about these interesting sort of things. No problem. So I'm not worried about that very much. Eva is experimenting with some things on a time available basis. I'm not. I'm just kind of monitoring it. She lets me know what's going on. She tells me what people are thinking. We design the experiment together, and then she executes it and tells me what the results are. Yeah. So that's simply not my priority to do exploration right now. Once we get things rolling, theoretically, for example, the milling wouldn't be too hard to teach somebody how to do. So we might wind up with a mill person crushing and grinding and all that stuff. I don't know. But the exploration, sure. I could easily spend a couple weeks exploring out there, taking samples and hauling them back and crushing them and this and that and the other. Yeah. But it's not the priority right now. We got lots of stuff on the claims to explore in detail. For example, on the other side of the ridge, we have a similar structure that I haven't been in because there's no easy, safe access to get in there. Take care, Tricky.
Kiss the babies.
No, the resin is basically a kind of plastic. You might be able to dissolve it in certain organic chemicals, but we haven't found one that seems to work well yet. And so I'm thinking that I've got some smart people working the problem right now, and I'll kind of let them beat their heads against the wall. They got it knocked down, and then I'll just go pick up the bricks because I'm that kind of guy. But I say Eva's doing a lot of work on this too, under the direction and stuff of Chris, and I say with me, direct supervision and prioritization. I need assays done. I need to find out what's in that resin, not play games with it. Use a standard technique, get me a number, that sort of thing. So that's basically where we're at now. We got loads of stuff. We can stay busy for years on this project, probably. That's the plan. And that's without really finding much more than we have right now. But yeah, I've got another particular location there. The access isn't that good, though. That's my concern, is getting to it is 10-minute walk. Not too easy to deal with. But I really want to get in there and take some more samples. I agree. The MD20 is the best I've seen for the real small gold. And Eva was trying the MD20 out and found a couple particles, one of which was definitely a chunk of steel off of the Hilti. Wow, that's undesirable, Mr. Lodak. Yeah, John. Yep. That's placer is easier. Absolutely. But I started in hard rock, so that's what I'm working. Of course, hell, with the way the world's going, who knows what's going to happen in 6-12 months. Very annoying because I'm having a good time and I hate to be interrupted by, the apocalypse or something. That would really annoy the crap out of me. Did we answer the questions? Yeah, hard rock is a different game, especially this ore. Some hard rock ore, Ryan's ore down there in Arizona, I was getting 80% recovery by gravity. This, no way. I was getting less than 20% recovery. Very annoying. Now, I'm sure there's ore bodies in this area that are not that difficult, but what the heck? Roberts, I'm not even sure how well that works. I know that at least the old metal detectors, when they did testing like that, the detection limit, it took a lot more bunches of pieces of gold than one chunk of gold of the same weight to get a detection. Yeah, Kodak, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at, and with Jim and Lauren and stuff. I mean, I've got all kinds of options, but I'm pretty happy where I'm working right now. Does your resin process recover from sulfide? In theory, yes. Everything is ore dependent, and if you were to get to the gold on the sulfide and in other words, crush it fine enough, and if the consumption of the Eco Gold X wasn't too high, you could probably put it in solution, and from solution, then you could get it. It would definitely be a possibility. If you were to roast the sulfides and then leach it, yeah, almost certainly. And that's basically what I'm dealing with here is oxidized sulfides. Just naturally oxidized instead of from fire. But that's all that is oxidized iron pyrite. Yes, Roberts. Most of the big ore bodies, it's microfine gold. You got the Carlin trend, you got all kinds of stuff. But yeah, the mine I was at for my first, well, actually both mines, never saw any gold in the rock. One of them, they did drill into a really rich spot, though, that I'm sure had visible gold, but everyone was held back from that. Could you explain that a little more, Argonaut? Jeff, that is hard to tell since we're up kind of on a hillside there. But in the general area, the oxidized dome generally ended around 200 feet deep. Yeah, Chris Ralph is pretty smart too. Paul Coover, this guy prepares his ore different and better. I don't see any other information there, Paul. If you tried to put a link, you can't do it because you're not a moderator. So that's not going to work. You could you could comment on one of my videos and post a link, or you could send me an email with a link. And in terms of preparing the ore different and better, all hard rock ore is unique. And what works one place doesn't work other place. And so the term different and better would not be surprising at all. But if he came with my ore, that might not be the case. It really, one of the things that these big mining companies have to do is they have to do millions and millions of dollars of testing to get a good idea of how to optimize the process and how reliable it's going to be as they go through. When I worked at Goldfields, they spent $8 million, and $4 million of that was to drive a drift down into the ore body to get bulk samples for testing. You know, Roberts, it will be a different source, but a similar process. Volcanic, magma under the Earth's surface either heats groundwater to make a solution that will dissolve gold and move it around, or as the magma itself cools, it releases magmatic waters, which are highly mineralized. And to find out in any particular ore body which process it was takes some smart people and a fair amount of testing. But Rock Butcher, that's the sort of thing that he does, and he can tell you what specific process tended to create that. Yes, Jeff, the volcanic material gives off hot water as it cools, but it can also heat water currently in the bedrock. It can get complicated. It can also cook water out of bedrock. There's a lot of metamorphic rocks, for example, that have water of hydration in them, or maybe it was the intrusive igneous. But anyhow, there's a lot of bedrock down deep that has water of hydration in the crystal lattice. You get it hot, that water's liberated, and it's aggressive, The richest ore anyone ever saw in Arizona, it was the way he prepared it. Paul, it can't be any richer than it was when it came out of the ground. He can be more efficient at recovering it. And that's not surprising at all. But the amount of the amount of gold in the rock doesn't improve because of the way you treat it. You only get a more efficient recovery depending on how you treat it. And yeah, that can make a huge difference. Tectonic plate movement versus volcanic. It can be both, Kodak. It's complicated. No one ever saw those values. Well, Paul, perhaps so, but I've seen ore from Australia that's running 30% gold, not 30 ounces per ton, 30%. Is that mainly to fire like the APU or something to maintain controllability, Argonaut? Your engine goes out, and if you run out of fuel or whatever, or something happens to your fuel system, you fire up the APU on hydrazine to run your generators and hydraulics. Is that what you're talking about? I would imagine that's correct, Roberts. I don't think there's much glacial gold in Nevada. There is some here in Montana. Gold, silver, lead, zinc, copper that were emplaced because of magmatic activity beneath us.
We've got beautiful native copper here.
Particularly the Boulder Batholith, which is like 70 miles across. What did they say the tunnels under Butte are? 10,000 miles of tunnels?
Yeah, something along those
Something
lines.
like that. Yeah. So it's really a target-rich environment for hard rock gold mining. Yeah, Kodak. It is. The big problem is, of course, distances, supplies, and water. Okay, thank you, Argonaut. That makes sense to me. Yeah, to power an APU to keep the plane controllable while you glide it in. So that makes perfect sense. I think they also have liquid oxygen on board for the pilot to breathe. I think that's how they do that, but I'm not sure. I don't think they use an oxygen concentrator. As a matter of fact, there was one video I was watching. I don't know if it was F-16 or an F-18. It was a documentary where the guy was out on a training run, and his liquid oxygen supply line or whatever developed a leak, and it was dripping on his leg, which is really a bad thing. And so he came back as fast as he could, and was trying to use his clipboard to divert it off of his leg and stuff like that. Thank you, Paul. Have you ever heard of anyone finding gold around a hot spring? I have heard them drilling underneath current hot springs and finding gold in the deposits down there. The gold does not stay in solution at normal temperature and pressure. It will precipitate below the surface. And it depends on where the surface was at the time that hot spring was working. But yes.
We have hot springs here too.
Yep. Paul Coover. Well, let's see what David or Hudson. Okay, I will try and look at that tomorrow or the next day. Let me go ahead and mark this unread. Oh, gosh. Got so much stuff. Let's see. So we got Paul Coover I've got to send stuff to, and Kodak.
First thing in the morning, and don't package it in front of postal service workers.
Okay, I'll put them in envelopes and then do the addressy thingy. Okay. Are you saying we can't trust postal workers?
Absolutely.
Jeff, it'll depend on other chemical constituents inside the water. As I understand, it's about 300 degrees centigrade, but I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. Yellowstone is a volcanic park. Absolutely.
Yellowstone is gorgeous.
Tie between the winners. But anyhow, yeah, we have the Yellowstone supervolcano area still has active hot springs and geothermal and blah, blah, blah. Don't know how mineralized it is. Oh. Nope. Not at this point, although they had some bodacious flood basalts. Well, I don't, Dave. You think the supply chain's screwed up now? Wow. Yellowstone blows up. It's going to be a long time before you get your groceries, man.
If the railroads go on strike, we're screwed.
Railroads are looking at going on strike. You know?
Newsom's trucking law is screwing California.
Yep. Thank you for your service, Ricky. And New Mexico's got a lot of minerals too down there, especially in the southwest corner.
They have fluoride. I like fluoride.
Yeah. Yeah, but the price would be too high even for that, Dave. Besides, he'll just fly somewhere else. Yeah, the minerals in the Salton Sea geothermals are just horrendous when it comes to doing geothermal power. That's one of their big problems. Oh.
It's loaded with lithium, apparently.
Well, I got a big, long day tomorrow. Not a big day, long day tomorrow. And any it was the Yellowstone hotspot, Garrett. It's not the actual area that we call Yellowstone, but there's a mantle plume of rising hot mantle material that's moving, and it moved underneath Washington State and to where it is now. Yeah, you have to be careful when dealing in foreign countries. Things can be pretty sketchy in certain spots. Yes, Chris, you're correct. The continent moved over the hot spot. Yeah, Ricky, that was an amazingly astute move by a demented man. Oh, we are screwed. I mean, I don't care how you slice it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I just hope it's not too horribly worse, but we shall see what we shall see. I don't have any argument with that, Dave, but he doesn't provide me with research materials directly, so it makes it kind of hard. I've got to infer the rules. He makes them, we figure them out. Would you agree with that, little one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it behooves us to be humble when trying to understand that which is so far above us and more complicated than us that we can't possibly understand it. You know? Take care, John, and I'll be shipping that out tomorrow. You take care. Pinks Altos? You mean maybe Piñas Altos? Yeah. I'd say that's Southwest New Mexico's got a lot of stuff, Silver City, Tyrone, just over the border, Morenci. Oh, yeah. Big world-class copper mines. Yes, but luckily he lets us borrow it for our own use. Well, another good time this week. I'm getting tired. So unless we have some more questions, I guess we'll call it a night. Yes, sir, Chris, sir. Ooh, I don't know, Garrett. Chris says good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
I would suggest, Garrett, that you find a local prospecting club, get a membership, and go to some meetings for a few months at least. You get a lot of good local information that way. Okay. Sorry, I'm too exhausted. I can't even make mildly annoyed love at this point. Sorry. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. We had a good giveaway. I enjoyed that. So you guys take care. Happy prospecting and keep it safe out there. Okay.